You have one new message.
Hi Claire, Auntie Dee here. I just wanted to say a big thank you for skipping my party. We had a great night and everyone was so happy you didn't come. Now you take care. I hope to see you soon. Bye.
No one will thank you for turning up to work or anything else when you're sick. Stay at home and get a test to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. From the HSE, for us all.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to Noon Show, with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. 5 minutes past 9, Wednesday the 23rd of March is another edition of the 9 till Noon Show, live from the sunny northwest of Ireland. We do hope you're well and that you'll stick around for this programme and the rest of the day here on your number one. Lines open for you right now. The number to WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000 or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Right, let's look at the front of the newspapers this morning. We'll start with the Inish Times, and they have a story of a young Inishowen mother of two who claims her childhood cardiac condition has returned with greater intensity following a postnatal injection administered in Letterkenny University Hospital. Pamela O'Hagan from Buncrana is currently on inpatient in the hospital's coronary care unit and is waiting to go to Dublin for cardiac surgery. Pamela, who suffered undiagnosed supraventricular tachycardia between the ages of 5 and 18, said she has had an SVT attack within minutes of receiving the injection after the birth of her son last August. Prior to that, she had not had an episode for 15 years. You can read much more in that story on the front of and inside that paper today. The Donegal Post tells us that a Donegal town man is feeling hugely relieved and grateful after his Ukrainian parents-in-law completed an epic 4-day journey of almost 2,000 kilometres to reach safety. Mike Mulligan from Barnesmore area lives in Dublin with his wife Natasha. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, their main concern has been Natasha's parents Dima and Zoya, who had been living in the eastern part of the country. Their hometown was very much in the war zone and it was a terrifying time for everyone involved, we read. On to the Nationals. Now, I think I may have left the Finn Valley Voice, Caroline, out there. On to the Nationals, and we'll return to that last local. The Irish Independent, Russia's war in Ukraine is set to usher in a level of inflation not seen in Ireland since the 1980s, with rising fuel, food and housing costs straining budgets. Price rises are expected to peak at around 8.5% this summer, according to the Economic and Social Research Institute. Inflation has not been at that level here since 1984. Wages and government supports are unlikely to keep pace with average inflation of 6.7% for the year. This means disposable income could fall by around 2%. The ESRI warned in its quarterly economic forecast energy and food costs are already rising as a result of the pandemic, with consumer price inflation hitting 5.6% in February. Are you feeling it? Tell us how you're feeling it, how it's impacted on your life, what you're noticing as by way of change. 086 60 25,000. Well, the war will put further strain on oil and gas, cereal, cooking oil, fertiliser and metal imports from Russia and Ukraine, and this will lead to hikes in the cost of home heating oil, transport, electronic goods, building materials, which is a key one for us as well, of course, and basic foods such as bread and pasta. Returning to the Finn Valley Voice here now, and their lead story, the headline, "Our hospitals should be run like hotels." This according to a key speaker at Jackson's Hotel. Professor Sam McConkey, one of the leading Irish medical experts advising the public on COVID-19, is to address members of Donegal's hospitality and tourism sector at Jackson's Hotel next week. According to the Changing Times is the title of the conference, which follows the two most difficult years the hotel industry in the Finn Valley has ever known. Professor McConkey will be satisfied with our leading hoteliers, and he'd put them in charge of our hospital rooms if he could. Okay, I'm not sure how realistic that is, but anyway, I suppose he's addressing people in that industry. On to the Times now, and speaking of a difficult 2 years, it continues. Officials are hopeful that COVID-19 cases will begin to decline without any need for new restrictions, despite a warning from the World Health Organization that Ireland had lifted the public health curbs too brutally. Political and official sources were steadfast last night that despite the increasing pressure on hospitals, restrictions were not being considered. There's no doubt it's creating a strain on the hospital system, but there's no clear proportionate measure that would reduce the strain, one official said. But of course, the INMO feels very differently. They believe that mask wearing would at least slow down the spread of the disease, taking pressure off them, but this unnamed source contradicts that. A total of 23,702 cases were reported in the state yesterday. That's one of the highest daily totals since the pandemic began. And of course, we're not really testing like we did, so it's probably much higher. I think we all know, even those that didn't get it have got it. Those that maybe didn't know, an awful lot of people that did get it know lots of people that have, and those that had it already are getting again. But this figure of almost 24,000 included 15,873 positive antigen tests, the highest number registered on a single day. There were 1,388 COVID-19 patients in hospital yesterday, although that really probably should read patients in hospital with COVID-19, an increase of 31 on the previous day, including 61 in intensive care. That's up from 37 on March 11th. On to the Irish Daily Mail now. And organisers of a St Patrick's Day parade that featured a float depicting two men who allegedly brought a dead body inside a post office to collect his pension have apologised to his family. Padder Doyle, aged 66, died shortly before he was taken into Carlow Post Office by his nephew Declan Hockney and one other man on January 24. Both men denied that they knew he was dead as they attempted to claim his pension. The incident, which sparked international attention, has resurfaced after two entries depicted Mr Doyle's death. They were featured at the St Patrick's Day events in Belmullet, County Mayo, and I think it's Kilfenora in County Clare. The depictions have since been harshly criticised by friends and people in the Carlow community where the 66-year-old lived. And listen, I mean, I'm sure they didn't fully think through how it might be upsetting. But if you saw the images or the video, it's some person in a cardboard post office, two other people dressed up, and they seem to be wheeling some sort of a mannequin or something or behind them. And I suppose in the moment they might have thought it was funny, but clearly I think once the national media got involved and amplified it to the extent that they did, they had no alternative but to apologise. Perhaps they would have done so anyway. We talked yesterday about how the fact that Ireland is set to co-host Euro 2028. Well, the government now has given its backing by way of a letter of support. The joint bid with Scotland, Wales, England and Northern Ireland is expected to be successful, and about 150,000 fans may travel here for the tournament. There are no bids expected by the deadline today for national football associations to confirm their interest. There were no discussions yesterday over the proposed costs of jointly hosting the event. However, the government will be expected to provide funding for venues, transport, security and fan zones. And I think I did see a figure somewhere of in the region of 80 million that it might cost this state. Do you think that's money well spent? Let us know what you think. I suppose it might be the lift that people need by the time it rolls around. Back to the war in Ukraine, and the Sun tells us that over 40,000 Ukrainian refugees are expected to land in Ireland by the end of next month, Tánaiste Leo Varadkar revealed. It comes as ministers scramble to put in place accommodation plans, with the government in talks with religious orders to use monasteries and convents as housing. Some 10,147 Ukrainians have arrived in Ireland so far, but Leo Varadkar yesterday told the Dáil, we expect that number will rise to 20,000 by the end of the month. It's reasonable to assume that it will probably hit something around 40,000 by the end of next month, he said. Some 7,326 PPS numbers have been issued to Ukrainians so far, and some of the people that arrived here are already at work, and some of their children have already begun school. And finally, what do you call your mother, or what did you call your mother if you're lucky enough to have her with you still? Mum, mam, mammy, mum? What's the most popular here in the Northwest? Well, mum isn't the word for most Irish sons and daughters, as most Irish mothers are called mam. Findings show. Research commissioned by appliance maker Beko and Woman's Way found 31% of Irish mothers are referred to as mam by their children. Some 23% of sons and daughters called their mother mum, while 12% use mammy, and 4% use mother's first name. So 4% of you listening call mum by whatever name she had. I honestly, and I'm kind of embarrassed saying this, I, up until probably the age of 10 or 11, thought my mum's name was Mum and I thought my dad's name was Dad. I actually I couldn't have told you their first names because they referred to each other as Mum and Dad, and it's not something I ever really thought on. I actually just thought their names were Mum and Dad. But anyway, what do you call your mum, or what did you call your beautiful mum? Was it Mum, Mammy, Mother? Anything else out there that we call them Mom? M-O-M. That's in there, isn't it? Let us know. 08660 25,000. It'll be interesting to see because mum, M-U-M, is the word for mothers in Ulster, as more than half, 53% of children there call their mothers mum. But it's different where you are in the country, interestingly enough. You think we're all the same, but even on the most trivial of things, we're really quite different dependent where you live. Okay, and if you want to watch today's programme, by the way, see some of our guests, see all of our guests really that come on the show at this point, you can hop onto our website. It's highlandradio.com, highlandradio.com. And you'll see a link there you can click through and watch it in browser. If you prefer, go straight to our YouTube page or our Facebook pages and join us there where you can interact, say hello, tell us where you're watching us from, and so on and so forth. Okay, our first guests will join us on this show after we take this short break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Say thank you this Mother's Day with a special gift from Pandora. When you spend €109 or more, we'll treat you to a free bracelet from a selection. But hurry, this offer won't be around for long. Ends Sunday the 27th of March while stocks last. Available in participating stores. Terms and exclusions apply.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom ware, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
This summer, holidays are go with Jet2 Holidays and Atlantic Travel. So go discover our amazing destinations with 22 kilograms of baggage included. Ask the experts at Atlantic Travel about your next Jet2 holiday by calling 074 912 6193 and book now with just a £60 deposit per person. Jet2 Holidays, package holidays you can trust, subject to availability and conditions.
Pet Value Ballybuffet has just got bigger. Yes, we've opened store number 2 at St Mary's Road, Buncrana. And to celebrate, one lucky customer will win €1,000 of home heating oil. Simply call into the store during March and you will be entered into the draw. Pet Value are open Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. till 6 p.m, Sunday 12 till 5. With fantastic offers across both stores. Pet Value, your one-stop shop for all your animal needs.
Why wait any longer for a change of scene? Why wait one more week for a world-class cocktail in a rooftop hot tub? Why wait another day for Art Deco elegance and live jazz? For a spa resort with a therapy menu as long as your arm? For dinner at a Michelin Guide recommended restaurant? Why put your next short break on the long finger when it's just a small step to a giant adventure in Northern Ireland? And you can book it now at discovernorthernireland.com. Travel advice and guidelines apply. Visit nidirect.gov.uk and check ahead with providers.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. And as some of you are pointing out, that story from down in Carlow was represented in at least one or two parades across the northwest over St Patrick's Day. But as I say, no one did it with any bad intent, but obviously it just perhaps has blown up now. Right, let's switch subjects. Eamonn Logue is chair of the Liford Straban Anglers Association. He joins us now. How are you getting on, Eamonn?
Not too bad, Greg.
Good to have you with us. Right, now tell us what you've discovered.
No, just an ancient boat down below Liford Bridge. We were, me and a friend there was taking a walk down there a few weeks back, and we spotted it at the side of the river. Greg, it just knew. It just looked like a boat, but it looked like an old boat, you know. So went down and had a good look around it, and knew it was old, but didn't know what to do or who to phone or nobody saying preserved or
Yeah.
taken away on the museum or something. So contacted one of our committee members, and he got a number from Marcus and Eamonn Clary for Roisin Mall Town Museum. I gave Roisin a ring, and she came up, and she was excited about it as well. Now, it was through her, everything else happened. It was Roisin opened the doors to Alexa Niall and that, like, you know. So only for Roisin, we wouldn't have got the help we needed.
And has it always been there and you stumbled across it, or did something happen, I don't know, a storm or the movement of the ground and it became exposed?
There was big floods there previous to that, but we've been finding bits and pieces over the years. Now, we knew there was boats found along that stretch, but we'd only been finding pieces of it. This one, as soon as we seen it, now, it's not the one that's in the newspaper. That's a different boat. There's a lot less of that. The one that we found, we knew when we looked at it from the top banking that it was a dugout canoe of some kind, you know.
Yeah.
So this has been exposed in a big flood, and we're just lucky enough to come across it.
And does it say what's it made of, as much as you can determine?
Well, Niall's the expert in that, you know, but as far as we know, an oak, just a one single oak tree.
Okay, well, listen, as it turns out, we have an expert on hand. Stay where you are, Eamonn.
Yeah.
Niall Gregory is a marine archaeologist. Hi, Niall.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good. Nice to speak to you. Right, so talk to us about what this boat is, how far back it dates.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Eamonn and his members from the Anglers Association for bringing the attention of these boats to the Heritage Services, and their due diligence has absolutely paid off. So it's fantastic. So there are two boats. They're the remains of dugout boats. So effectively, they're hollowed out tree trunks made into boats. Now that sounds very crude, but they're actually very sophisticated craft in terms of actually how they're literally shaped or sculpted from the original tree trunk into a boat. And we have different sizes and different hull shapes from them within the confines of the original tree trunk. And these criteria actually tell us quite a lot of information about them, most specifically the intended environment in which they were going to be used and the purpose for which they were going to be used in that environment. Obviously, these ones came from the foil there, and certainly one of them is oak, and I think the second one probably is as well. The diagnostic sort of information or details from them, one in particular has iron nails in it, but they're a type of nail that can be anything from the early medieval to the late medieval.
And in terms of centuries, when is that, Niall?
Okay, you're talking about 500 or 600 AD, right the way through to 1600 AD. These boats were actually used in Ireland right the way up to 1793 AD. And we have the earliest recorded ones about 7000 BC. So you're looking at a good 9,000 years of use. So if there's something that's being used that length of time, they have to be quite a successful, form of boat.
And what would the most likely use be? Is it for fishing, transport?
These particular ones now were designed as cargo ferries. So if you can imagine, obviously we have the bridge there now between Liford and Straban, but that's not that old because you've got the tidal aspect to the river, and obviously there was an ancient fording point at this location. Not everyone wanted to get their feet wet, and certainly don't want your cargo to get wet or your goods, especially commercial sort of products that would have been crossing the river wet at that particular time. But as Eamonn correctly pointed out, we've had a number of discoveries in this section of the river from 1984, and at that particular location where these two boats have turned up, that's 15 boats to be found there out of overall 21 boats from that stretch of the river.
And do you ever suppose why they were, found in the river? In other words, why they weren't brought ashore, used for wood, repurposed for something else? Is there some significance as to why they're being found in the very place they were employed?
They have been found to be repurposed. Excuse me. You look at, I don't know if your listeners recall the Crannog excavation outside Enniskillen there, Drumclay, I think it was around about 2012, 2013. and actually the base material to build up the artificial island used a lot of timbers and repurposed timbers, and there were at least 3 dugout boats that were used to build up that base layer. So they do get repurposed even in antiquity. In more modern times, even in the last couple of 100 years, we do have accounts of them being used, unfortunately, for things like firewood. But that was before modern archaeology really came into play, if you like.
Yeah.
These ones here now, they probably were lost during inclement weather conditions, maybe sort of winter storms or something like that. But they were locked in silt layers or sedimentary layers within the areas where they were originally used to be brought up during times of winter sort of weather, the higher river levels.
Right, they're 16 foot long. How wide would they be at their widest point?
Okay, one of them, I'm sorry, I use the new money, I'm afraid. So,
Eamonn, you're going to have to convert this for us. Go ahead now.
One of them was about 6 meters long, and the other one is about just over 4 meters long. So that's multiplied by 3. So we're looking at, I think about 15 or 17
but the width?
feet per one. And, the width now, obviously, they will be confined to the original parameters or dimensions of the tree trunk. Yeah. So typically, they can be anything from 50 centimeters, so about just short of 3 feet, I suppose about 2 feet, right the way up to 1 meter. Which
big
is,
trees, though. These are big trees that were.
Those are big ones, yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose you could make a bigger one lower to the base of the tree and a smaller one the further you go up.
I suppose it works in the sense of that you use the entire sort of tree trunk. These ones here now, they were about 60 centimetres in width. And we can actually see, because there's sapwood on the outside aspects of the hull, and that's a softer wood that any self-respecting boat builder would not want to use because it won't last very long. You need the hardwood, the harder wood. And obviously, because they were using the sapwood, there was a shortage of trees in the area where the boat was being built of a suitable size. So they're trying to maximise the absolute limits of the trunk.
Of course, the bigger it is, the less runs you have to make. So you're going to try and push the limits. Now, I mean, obviously, these are of great interest to you, Niall, and many people listening. Are they of significance that would justify the expense of removing them, preserving them, displaying them, or are they so common that maybe that they're not?
That's a yes and no answer. In terms of, we have one of the most prolific number of these boats on the island of Ireland compared to just about any other country on continental Europe. So we have a huge number of these discoveries over the years. Now, these are archaeological items, so they are non-renewable resources, so they have to be treated with due diligence. But like anything, it's the state services and it's the state finances that really come into play, and it's a justification in terms of what the priorities are over a limited pot. Now, these boats, in recent conversations with the Historic Environment Division of the Department for Communities, they're taking actions in hand in terms of being able to retain these boats and be able to take a appropriate sort of curatorship of them. Yeah. But these are slow decisions to make because everything is a cost, and there's a very limited pot for the public finances, and historic items are no less so. But if you can imagine,
and part of that decision would be to presumably let time take its course as well, would it? Like, I couldn't go up and remove one of those, for example. That would be illegal, would it?
There's different laws in different jurisdictions. Now, obviously, I'm in the south of Ireland and based in Tipperary, so I'd be more cognizant of those sort of legal requirements. But,
well, it's complicated enough to find out who owns the foil, let alone who owns what's in it. Yeah. So we'll maybe leave that for others.
Well, it's permissions of the landowner as well comes into play.
Of course.
But this will be taken in hand anyway. But it's even like things like the cost of petrol now from the Ukraine sort of war. That's actually playing into this as well. So there actually has to be sort of slow and deliberate decisions in terms of what we're going to do, when we're going to move it to its ultimate place. We want to be able to not keep on moving it because that's a cost and that's an expense. So this has to be decided upon before we can actually lift and retain them.
And Eamonn, I don't know if you're connected to the past or nostalgic, but did you feel any particular connection to your forefathers, or would you like anything in particular, maybe even the one that's in better condition? Would you like anything? It could end up in a pier in Donegal Town, the way things are in Inishowen sometimes. But anyway, would you like to see anything done with it, or as I say, do you feel any sort of connection to your ancestors in finding it?
Well, we did, and we'd love to see it preserved and on display somewhere. As Niall was saying, you know what I mean? They're only sitting them out. They don't last long if they're not protected. And that whole area has got a rich history that the local people don't even know about. You know, Kruger Hall alone, there's a man does a speech on YouTube, Mr. Lacey, and it just tells you about the history of it there, but we don't know about it. You know what I mean? That's just another thing to be lost unless somebody put it and display it. You know, it should be preserved, like, there's no doubt about it.
All right, brilliant stuff. Thanks, Eamonn. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that story with us. What's your favourite find or your favourite item, Niall, that you've worked on?
Okay.
You thought my question about metric versus imperial was bad. Get your teeth around that one.
I know that's a real challenge now. I'm over 30 years working as a professional archaeologist, so when I'm working on site right now on the outskirts of southern Dublin, we're turning up prehistoric cremation pits, the human sort of burials, if you like, along with 18th century big bats. So that's topical there at the moment.
Good.
But I suppose maybe about 25 years ago, I was working for the National Museum of Ireland in the River Stock, an underwater excavation of a crossing point on tributaries to the River Shannon. And we were working with underwater metal detectors. And quite often I didn't have the opportunity to work underwater, but this was a light administration day and went in with the detector. And I thought I was detecting a piece of barbed wire, because...
or a 1980s shopping trolley.
That's exactly it, yeah. So, but it turned out to be, this is the formal title of it, it's a sword now, it's a 17th century Irish copy of a Scottish mercenary's ring pommel sword.
Wow.
That's the short version of the title.
What kind of condition was it in?
It was actually in excellent condition. It was one of the best preserved in the country. We even had the leather of the scabbard.
Oh wow!
So,
and then you wonder, how did it end up in such a place? You'd just love to be able to time travel and see. Yeah, no, it's fascinating stuff. Thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it, and your expertise. It's very much appreciated, as I mentioned. Niall Gregory there, marine archaeologist, and Eamonn Logue, the discoverer of many old boats, seemingly, well, two anyway. Okay, 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts. Have you ever found anything of note? I seem to recall clay pipes being found. That's the most significant thing I've ever found. Whilst it was actually, it sounds quite brutal. Well, it wasn't really that brutal, but it was intrusive, was digging out foundations. 086 60 25,000 if you've come across anything interesting like that. Maybe it's now your prized possession. Call Caroline on 07491 25,000. Rightio, we've got more coming up on the programme, and you never know what we might be talking about after these.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Yeah, I think if you try to design a garden too much, it's artificial looking, and it's better to say, go along in the garden. We see these gardening programs, don't put this colour beside that colour, and I think that's a lot of nonsense too. The plant looks nice no matter what colour it is.
That's Down the Garden Path, a new series Wednesday nights on Highland Radio, after the news at 8 p.m.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire, exclusive stockists of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 912676.
Donegal Hearing Clinic, now open at Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Buncrana. Now offering state-of-the-art rechargeable hearing aids free with your PRSI. Also pain-free microsuction wax removal services. Call 07491 88470 or donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic.
Join me, David James, this Friday as the Jive Time Show will be coming to you live from Century Complex, Letterkenny. We will be celebrating 85 years of Century Cinemas, reminiscing on some of the old movies, how cinema has changed through the years, and as usual we have some fantastic giveaways on the day. That's this Friday from 2:30 to 5 p.m. on Highland Radio.
Central Auto Parts are now stocking Sunny, a water-based paint offering all up-to-date colours for all vehicles, and Celimix Commercial, the perfect paint for diggers, plant and machinery. Buy it today at Central Auto Parts, Portlink Business Park, Letterkenny. Find us on Facebook or call us on 074 9127 491.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. Now, elected representatives and delegates from around the country are in Buncrana this week to attend the Association of Irish Local Government Conference. Councillor Nicholas Crossan is the president of that association. He joins us now. I suppose it's a big boost to Buncrana to get people up here to have a look around, and it's nice for you too, Nicholas. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah. Delighted to welcome up to, probably 300, maybe 350 delegates to Buncrana over the next couple of days. Of course, we have the weather ordered, and it's absolutely beautiful. And there's some that have come up last night, and they're just, when they come around the lookout at Ford, they see the open up the Swilly and the entrance of the Buncrana, saying to me it's the nicest entrance to any town in Ireland. So it's a great opportunity, first of all, to welcome them up here for the conference, but to actually see in person and the show and the good that it has to offer.
Yeah, and it's beautiful all year round, but I think we can be extra proud at this time of the year with this type of weather, which is great. What is up for discussion? What do you think the key conversation points will be?
Well, we're open tonight. Our Minister for Local Government and Planning, Minister Peter Burke, TD, is officially opening the conference tonight. He is our go-to man with our association. As you know, we deal with issues pertaining to local government. We're asked for our input onto legislation, and that's what basically the Association of Irish Local Government does. So we're delighted to have the Minister with us in Buncrana tonight. As I said, he will be talking regarding local government. The main bones of the conference is, I suppose, the aspect of town centre first, which is trying to develop our town centres back into and make them vibrant again. And I think that Donegal, I suppose why we chose this subject for Donegal is not only did we have to deal with COVID-19, but we also dealt with Brexit. We also deal with currency. We also deal with various other things that we have in the cross-border, which a lot of other counties in Ireland don't do that. We have a choice if we can go to shop in Northern Ireland or we can shop in the Republic of Ireland. But if you're living in Cork or Kerry, you either you're living in your own town, you shop in that town, or you go to the next town, but you're still in the Republic. So there's a whole lot of various aspects that wouldn't be so much in other counties as relevant to Donegal.
Oh, I think it's good that others get an understanding of it. Because we talk about shop local, and shop local could be Derry, or it could be Buncrana, and these are our friends and neighbours, and our family or our partners, or whatever it might be. It's a unique situation. It really is.
That is a unique situation. Yeah.
What is the future of our town centres? Is it striking a balance between maybe more residential, getting life back into our town centres, and commercial, or is it about trying to have a commercial focus and to promote business, or are we still in the conversation part of that, do you think?
No, I think we're well past the conversation. It's a matter now getting action. I think, Greg, what I can speak for, I was born on the main street of Buncrana, and it was a lower main street in Buncrana. There was 30, 40 people living in the few houses along that street. Now there's one or two, and you're right, we have to get a balance between residential and commercial. But unless we get residents back into town, and people are realising now, I suppose we have all the services in the town. Somebody builds in the country, day like that is beautiful, but you're not going to get your road salted. You're not going to have footpaths up to your house. You're not going to have maybe mains, water or sewage or whatever the case. So there's an advantage for living within a town boundary itself, which is great. There's people who like to live in the country, but there's advantages. You've got broadband. You've all the services that you can wish for. Your children can walk to school. You're within walking distance of shopping. The price of fuel out at the present minute time, something maybe could be factored in. But
and do you see the Buncrana project helping to, or maybe that's more about connecting areas of the town? Do you think that project can be used also to look at, say, for instance, the centre of Buncrana?
You're talking about the shorefront development, is it?
Yeah, the money that was announced, the 1.6 million. I know it's about interconnecting, but there has to be a long-term plan. It's not about joining different areas of a town and its outskirts together. I mean, it may not come under the funding of that, but all these things surely have to be considered as part of any major development of Buncrana, even if it's a little bit out of the main street area.
One of the main factors we're saying was connecting the main street, the resident to or shorefront. Probably one of the disadvantages is our main street is back from the shorefront a great distance. A lot of seaside towns, the main street would go along the shorefront. Or pier, you want the other towns, and the pier is a main focus point in a town that you drive down and have a look at the pier, watch the boats or whatever the case may be. But Buncrana, you just kind of have to go out of your way to get to the pier. So what we're trying to do is rejuvenate that, to make it more welcoming that the pier would be a focal point in Buncrana, the shorefront, and to connect that with the town centre.
All right. So it's going to be a good conference, I'd imagine. Separately, it's a couple of years now since you got COVID. I think you were one of the first, anyway, that I was speaking to that had it 2 years on. Do you still feel the effects of it? What's your reflections on what happened to you?
It's ironic you should ask that. It's actually 2 years today.
Today? Right, okay.
Today, the 23rd of March. And I was with my physio yesterday, and I'm one, and I keep saying this, Greg, I'm one of the very, very lucky ones. I got a clean bill of health yesterday. My physiotherapist says, look, Nicholas, your heart, your lungs, everything is good. You're good to go, and I don't want to see you again in the nicest possible way. And I says, thank you very much. So for long term, COVID with myself, thankfully, Greg, I don't see any after effects at this present minute in time.
That's right.
And I'm very thankful for
that. So you passed the NCT, that's what we can say.
I got the NCT, but look, there's an awful lot of people, I would ask people to just, there's a surge again, and please just be careful. Now, people saying, it's okay, the variant's not as bad. That's okay, that's probably true. But for anybody that does get it bad, it's serious.
Yeah, it really is.
Their hospital crisis. Letterkenny Hospital is pinned to the colour. Like, we were talking to the people in ICU, I keep in touch with them over with my wife does a bit, and telling us just at the progress and just seeing how they're getting on. And they just didn't get their head lifted this last 2 years.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
When you get the NMOs calling for a state of emergency to be declared, and they're the ones at the coalface. Just finally on the conference this evening, by the way, before I let you go. I mean, it depends on what what is discussed, but do you think that the housing situation, the mica situation in Donegal and down the west coast, is that formally going to be discussed?
No, that's not formally discussed, Greg. Although probably mica is in a good lot of the counties, that our programme was just set up just for what we had. There's only so much we can put into the conference. And maybe it's not relevant in Wexford or Waterford or Cork or whatever the case may be. So we're trying to get topics that's relevant, supposed to all the councillors, because the councillors coming from every county in Ireland, although it's very relevant to ourselves up here. But I'm glad to say that Donegal County Council they're starting to make inroads into this. I know it's a very, very slow process, but I hear people that are getting through loop 1, 2, 3, and they're getting through this here, and that's what we want to do. We want to try and speed it up as fast as possible for people, because it's a horrendous situation they're in.
All right, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Councillor Nicholas Crossan, the first independent councillor to be head of that association, by the way, which is no mean feat, speaking ahead of that conference this evening. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp text number. Give us a call on 07491 25000. I just want to let you know before the break that this week in Highland Radio, on our website, highlandradio.com, we are highlighting Neurodiversity Celebration Week, which runs from March 21 to 28. Patrick Sharkey is speaking to different neurodivergent people from throughout the county and further afield, in fact, about the challenges they overcome in daily life. The guests span all four corners of Donegal, tell many different stories, including ADHD, autism. I believe autism was the focus yesterday. Dyspraxia, which we've discussed a lot on this programme, as well as dyslexia and Asperger's syndrome. The podcasts are available in the playback section on our website. And as I mentioned, some highlights from this programme go on there. We had a very interesting conversation yesterday with the GP about the new drug, which is being seen as a game changer in terms of tackling obesity. If you missed that, that's in the playback section. The DL debate reflecting on the weekend sport with Brendan Devaney, that's there. The new Business Matters podcast, which we'll be discussing later, that'll be up there. The scores featured there. You can even catch up, by the way, on all of the news of the day. The main evening news, sport and obituary notes is podcast every single day for you, just to make it as easy as it is possible to keep up to date with everything that's happening. So if you haven't been on in a while, hop on to highlandradio.com. And, you know, if you've got any feedback on the website, email it to me, or on anything at all, and I'll pass it on to the relevant people. You can email Greg Hughes at highlandradio.com or inquiries at highlandradio.com, or use the form on the website. Have your say. As I say, it was recently done up, and that work is continuing. Right, okay, we'll be back, as I say, with your comments and much more after these.
Text 086 60 25,000.
Greatness isn't something you're born with. It requires work, dedication, self-belief, and support. In 2024, Team Ireland will travel to Paris with the hopes of a nation on their shoulders. And Permanent TSB will be supporting them every step of the way. So when our Olympians and Paralympians take to the world stage, let's come together in raising a nation to greatness. Permanent TSB, proud sponsor of the Irish Olympic team and the Irish Paralympic team.
Enjoy your bath.
I will. Now. Lovely. What's that splashing?
Oh no, Desi! Something's leaking! Oh, there's water everywhere. There's a pipe leaking through the ceiling. Oh.
With Allianz Home Insurance, you get emergency home assistance at no extra cost. So when those unexpected moments happen, we'll be here to help. Visit allianz.ie for a quote and get 20% off your home insurance. Allianz plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, policy conditions and minimum premium apply.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Jim and Natasha Colin Ferreter and Shaw. Ihe Kaden Shaw Shart Guji Hockter Clog. Rulja Bulja Highland Radio. La Katrina Nick Sean as Glor Nagale. Actors for Okaj Vranta in Gidor. Jerry Shart in Shaw. August Tijagus Tishkent Shir Log Anyam Naha. La John O'Farry. Nahal Panel Changa near Hushkirch. Sharkaji a Hockter Clog. Shar Highland. Rulja Bulja Biggie Lane.
For confirmation and First Communion, see the great selection of suits, casual wear and footwear at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Top brands, including 1880 Club, Lyle & Scott, Farah and Diesel. Also Tommy Bow footwear and all at great prices. Whatever the fit, whatever the style, confirmation and First Communions are covered. For less, at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com. Also, great end of sale bargains still available.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Gatwick's back. You can now fly daily to London Gatwick with Aer Lingus, the perfect gateway to explore South London. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
So today mostly dry with spells of hazy sunshine. There'll be well scattered showers later today. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees with light southeasterly winds. Now, Dr. Lucy Michael is co-author of iReport.ie. It's the racist incident reporting line, and we've been talking about this for a number of years now, I think, since its launch, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Lucy, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Lovely to be with you. Thank you for talking with me.
Right, okay. Tell us what are the findings of your report for 2021 and in terms of trend and people's experiences?
I suppose the three things that stand out for me about this year's report, and you're right, we've been talking about this for a number of years. One is we're still seeing a really high rate of racist assaults, which we've seen for the last 3 years. Worryingly, at the same time, we've seen reporting of those to Gardaí cut by half. And we've also seen a high level of illegal discrimination in employment, accommodation, and other areas. So 90 cases with that. And so really high in terms of assault and discrimination, much lower in terms of people reporting online hate speech. And I think that we've put that down really to fatigue. There was a huge level of reporting in that area when we all started working from home. And I think people have got used to seeing it and fed up of reporting it and seeing it not taken down off the main platform.
Well, it's so prevalent. I mean, you know, a couple of years ago, you would never see it. People feel they can say things which are, I mean, they're clearly offensive. And, you know, you have people with a, you know, relatively high profile saying things which I think many could deem as being racist. I think if I were that person, I would go, well, what's the point? I have no faith in this. No one seems to be bothered. It appears to be getting worse. I'll just keep my head down and try and avoid it as much as I can.
That's it, and organisations like INR have been working hand in hand with the big social media platforms to try and reduce it. But the waves of online hate at the moment are just huge, and the efforts to try and take them down are very burdensome. To try and report something, it asks everybody to send the link to report it. You go through about 8 different steps to report a single statement on Facebook. It's extraordinarily burdensome. No wonder people have given up thinking about it. And yet, you know, we have to try and stop it somehow.
In terms of, you know, how Gardaí can log this type of information into the likes of the Pulse system, you know, so we can get an official line on it. I'm not saying that the information gathering that you do is not official, but if you understand, in other words, that information that can form policy, are we making any inroads in that regard so that if there is, say, for instance, an assault, that it can be officially recorded as having a racial motivation?
Well, this is why this reporting system is important, because it's not official. So it gives us a second view at what's happening. And so we would always look every year at what statistics the Gardaí have recorded, and then we would look at what has been reported to iReport, and we would try and compare the two. And that tells us something about the levels of trust people have in the Gardaí. It tells us about the ability of the Guards to accurately record incidents. Now, the Guards 9 months ago set up an online hate crime reporting form, but we're not seeing anywhere near the level of reports to that we get to iReport. And as I say, you know, the thing that people used to report most, which was assault, you know, something that's very tangible, you can see injury, you can very often photograph the perpetrators, are usually identifiable, known. Those are the things that used to be most reported to Gardaí, and now they're the things that are least reported to Gardaí, and that worries me a lot.
I mean, though, I think the Gardaí do deserve some credit, though, because obviously, sorry, that's a question, not a statement, because obviously their most recent campaign has been very much focused on increasing diversity, different voices, different faces in An Garda Síochána. Presumably that might instill a little bit of trust if you're from a particular community, if you feel that you can go to a Garda, that you'd have more faith in them understanding.
Yes, and I think the mistake is to assume that everybody sees the Gardaí as one single thing. You know, people acknowledge that there are Guards who go well out of their way to try and build community trust, to really work with communities to address racism. And then there are others that are doing the opposite, you know, that are really engaging in racial profiling, that are dismissing victims who go to Garda stations. You know, so the organisation as a whole has to build trust. And that campaign, you're right, is one really good way of doing that. But it's not the only way. It also has to be seen in the practice of Gardaí on the street, how they talk to young people, how they deal with migrants who come to a Garda station, how they respond to somebody who wants to report racism or anything else.
Yeah.
And it's that complex picture of trust that really creates what happens in the end. And for us, what we've seen is, in the last 2 years, as we've seen racial profiling going up in communities, we've seen that trust level going down. So apart from that recruitment campaign, and Garda Síochána has to take seriously two things. One is the behaviour of Gardaí who are acting in ways that appear to be racial profiling. We have no legislation and no data on that, and the Minister for Justice has said that they don't intend to introduce that legislation. And the second thing then is just to be very aware that the policies of the organisation have to, as a whole, be anti-racist. They have to be proactive.
Okay, in terms of reaching people, though, and it kind of has to be sweeping because I don't have time to sort of try and phrase it in a different way, but reaching different people, minority groups or whatever it is, do we do enough in that regard? It is quite possible. Let's say, for instance, there could be a community in Donegal that maybe they have connections to another country. They source the news from there. They're not listening to Highland Radio or buying a local newspaper. Are we reaching out and making sure we're finding different ways of communicating with people? Because I'm thinking the government website, and you think the government could get this right, in the wake of the awful crisis in Ukraine, they published an information document on their own website only in English for people coming here from Ukraine. There was no bilingual presentation of it. There was, no number offered for people to contact someone who could maybe speak their language. I just wonder sometimes if we're dusting around the corners.
Yeah, I think that's it. We fall down in places that are very obvious. For example, in Dublin 15, there was no diversity officer for quite a while in one of the most diverse parts of Ireland. And on language overall, I think we've fallen behind in many ways. There are no interpreting standards, for example, for interpreter used in international protection, in the courts, in Garda stations, in healthcare. And yes, we're very bad at thinking about how we do this multilingually. And now I have to say this is the first year that we have published iReport data in 11 languages. And that's been very much about funding. The state don't have that excuse. But we certainly this year decided that we have to get this iReport news out in multiple languages so that it belongs to communities, so that people can start asking for that official data from Gardaí and the state in their own language.
And you're feeling you're talking with people and not talking about them. Not you, exactly. Generally speaking. Okay, if people want to find this report, I presume they go to ireport.ie and it'll be easily found on the front page there.
If they want to see the report, they go to inar.ie. That's inar.ie. And if they want to make a report, they go to ireport.ie.
My apologies. So it's the Irish Network Against Racism, where the report is published, INAR. And if you wish to report an incident, it's ireport.ie, which makes sense to have that separation. Thanks for your time, Doctor. I appreciate it.
Much appreciated.
Okay, bye-bye. That's Dr. Lucy Michael, who is the co-author of report.ie. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. Lots of you messaging us today, which is fantastic. We'll be getting to some of those calls in a moment. In fact, after the news at 10, because we don't want to delay it. Stay where you are. Lots to keep you entertained. But we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after these messages.
Do you want to react to any of today's news stories? Or do you have your own issue to raise? The 9 to noon show phone lines are now open on 074 91 25,000 or text 086 60 25,000.
Darren Brown, the multi-award-winning master of mind control and psychological illusion, is coming to Derry with his brand new live show, Showman, guaranteed to blow your mind. From the 26th of April for 1 week only. Don't miss Darren Brown, live at the Millennium Forum. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunloe. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunloe office on 95 22206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
Win with low prices from SuperValu with a great range in-store and online, like SuperValu chilled Valencia orange juice 1 litre, only €2. Epic! SuperValu frozen vegetable stir-fry mix 750 gram, only $1.19. Smashed it! And SuperValu chocolate chip cookies, only 99¢. Winning! Win with low prices that compete with anyone. Win with SuperValu.
Sheridan Security now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus £5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Finance Minister says no matter what the government does in a bid to counteract the rising cost of living, it'll never be good enough for the opposition. Minister Paschal Donohoe was reacting to a Sinn Féin motion on rising energy costs, which was brought to the Dáil last evening. The party believes that the measures announced by government in recent weeks, while welcome, do nothing to address the spiralling cost of home heating. Donegal's Deputy Pearse Doherty has been outlining what their motion would do.
It is to start by removing excise duty on home heating oil to support families who are struggling to heat their homes. And this alone would reduce the cost of a fill by €100, to move as far as it can on the cost of diesel and petrol with further reductions on excise duty, and to win a special derogation to reduce the level of VAT applied to household energy bills.
Well, responding, Minister Paschal Donohoe said the opposition will always look to change the goalposts.
Regardless of what the government did, it wouldn't be enough. Because it is never enough for an opposition that will always look to change the goalposts in relation to any argument that we are in, because whatever measure the government brings forward will always be condemned by Sinn Féin and other opposition members as not being enough.
Well, the ESRI is warning that Ireland is set to witness inflation not seen since 1984. In its latest quarterly economic survey, the ESRI says inflation could hit 8.5% by the summer and average out at 6.7% across the year. Only 1 in every 5 children aged 5 to 11 are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. That compares to 3/4 of 12 to 15-year-olds. That's according to the HSE. 89% of 16 and 17-year-olds are fully vaccinated. Dr. Dennis McCauley, Donegal GP and IMO GP Committee Chair, says it's important that vulnerable children are vaccinated.
If your child has a pre-existing condition such as asthma, I think it's really essential that they get it. I think if there's any other associated illness, if there's a family member who is ill with a chronic disease or a terminal diagnosis, I think once again it would be very practical and very sensible for them to actually get it.
The Association of Irish Local Government is holding its annual training conference in Buncrana over the next 2 days. The event at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel is looking at a number of issues, including the Town Centre First initiative, from which a number of towns in Donegal are set to benefit. The president of the AILG is Donegal Councillor and acting chair of the Inishowen Municipal District, Councillor Nicholas Crossan. He says one of the issues being discussed will be how to promote town centre living.
I was born on the main street of Buncrana, Lower Main Street in Buncrana. There was 30, 40 people living in the few houses along that street. Now there's 1 or 2, and we have to get a balance between residential and commercial. But unless we get residents back into town, and people are realising now, I suppose we have all the services in the town. We have all the services that you can wish for. Your children can walk to school. You're within walking distance of shopping. The price of fuel now at the present minute.
A visit by the Cathaoirleach of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District to Rudolstadt has facilitated the further strengthening of links between the German town and Letterkenny. That's according to Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh, who led a delegation from Letterkenny for a series of meetings and St Patrick's Day events in Rudolstadt. The two towns signed an official town twinning agreement in October 2018. The latest visit saw the establishment of a further educational link between St Joseph's National School in Rathmullen and a national school in Rudolstadt. Councillor Kavanagh says the twinning agreement offers much potential.
The German market is very important for Ireland, very important for Donegal. It's the second market after the UK. But one of the things about Rudolstadt is that it's from the old East German part, and there's many cities near Rudolstadt, Jena and Weimar and Erfurt, with big populations, and we haven't really touched on that market yet as a potential for tourism.
Well, the forecast, Anne Erin tells us it'll be mostly dry today with spells of hazy sunshine. Well scattered showers later today, particularly in the west of the region. Some coastal fog possible. Highest temperatures 14 to 17. Warmest in sunshine away from coastal areas. Light southeasterly winds. Tonight it'll be mainly dry with just some isolated showers and some light southerly breezes. Clear at first, but it'll become cloudier across the west of the region. Low cloud and possible mist or fog forming and lowest temperatures of 3 to 7. Tomorrow, cloudier with some drizzle possible. Otherwise dry with light southerly winds. Top temperatures tomorrow 11 to 16. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices for Wednesday morning, the 23rd of March. The death has occurred of John Dunleavy, 7 Knocknamona Terrace, Letterkenny, and formerly of Ardglass, Port Salon. John's remains are reposing at his home. The house is private please. Funeral from there tomorrow, going to St Eunan's Cathedral for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in Conwall Cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations, if wished, to the Emergency Department or ICU, Letterkenny University Hospital. Care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Rasha Quinn, Glenvilla, New Mills, Letterkenny. Her remains will repose at her home from 6 o'clock this evening. Requiem Mass will be celebrated in St Columba's Church, Glenswilly, at 12 noon on Friday, with interment afterwards to Kilpeak Cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Pieta House, care of Con McDade, funeral directors or any family member. The death has taken place of James Doran, formerly of Carrigan's. James's remains are reposing at Trinity Court with family time please from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, arriving at St Bathan's Church, St Johnston, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Bridget McBride, ní Coyle, Tierhaman, Milford. Her remains are reposing at her home with Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. Funeral Mass tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Massmount, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral Mass and Rosary can be viewed on St Mary's, Fanavolti and St Columba's Massmount Facebook page. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to the Irish Motor Neuron Disease Association or ICU Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Patrick Sweeney, funeral directors. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Catherine Logue, ní Ivers, Greenbank, Quigley's Point. Her remains are reposing at the Sacred Heart Church, Muff. Requiem Mass this morning there at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Pat Hamilton, late of 9 New Street, Clady. His remains will repose at Quigley's funeral home this afternoon from 4:30, with removal at 5:30 going to St Columba's Church, Donnylip. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has taken place of Kathleen K. Kemp, née McLaughlin, 5 Seacrest Shore Road, Buncrana. Her remains are reposing at McLaughlin's funeral home in Buncrana, with viewing from 3 until 5 and 6 until 8 o'clock today. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:20, going to St Mary's Oratory for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass. Burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Hey you.
You're going to be brilliant today.
See, everyone needs a boost these days.
And it couldn't be easier to get one.
Everyone aged 16 and over can book a booster appointment for their COVID-19 vaccine.
It'll reduce your chances of being seriously ill.
And you can book a time and day that suits you at hse.ie.
Your appointment will need to be 3 months since your last vaccine.
And wait 3 months if you had COVID-19 since you were vaccinated.
Visit hse.ie now.
From the HSE.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you welcome back to the second hour of the programme, 9 minutes past 10. Shall we have a summer feel to our music at 10:30, do you think? Give us your suggestions. What song should we play at 10:30? Because it is nice and bright out there. Let us know what you want to hear. Also, if you've got a request or a dedication, or you want to pass on a message, say something nice about someone, whatever it is, we'll do that in the lead up to that music at around about 10:30. So your music suggestions and your requests, get them in now. Hi Greg, listening to Councillor Crossan. I don't see Mike atop of the list, and now Paddy Dever has stepped down. I don't hold much hope of things getting sorted anytime soon, thanks. I don't know the ins and outs of the Paddy Dever situation, but I suspect that he's taken a step back at this time in terms of, you know, getting people out in the streets or what have you. I'm not sure an awful lot of that is happening in any case, but I think reading his social media, he said that if such was required, again, he wouldn't be long stepping back in. Just watch Sky News now. Over 4 million refugees across Ukraine borders. However, a full 10 minutes was spent highlighting the plight of the transgender community there and the problem faced by those males who identify as women who want to leave but can't due to new government conscription laws that require ineligible men to stay and fight. Seems Putin got it right when all the Western liberal elite are concerned about is oysters and gender politics. I think really at this point with the situation in Ukraine, and I think it does frustrate the Ukrainians a little bit, because what they want is the media to be talking about how to stop the war. They're looking for stories, angles, and of course that's going to be one of them. You know, just because a community is small, it doesn't mean it's not significant. But as I say, you know, what Ukrainians want the media to be talking about is, you know, putting pressure on Russia, its allies, those with influence, to end what's happening over there, rather than discussing the you know, the consequences of it. The consequences are huge, don't get me wrong, but that's the sense I got. Hi Greg, perish the thought that Councillor Crossan would have on the agenda the biggest catastrophe affecting Donegal communities since on Gortamore, i.e. Micah, or ask about the report on corruption that's gathering millimetres of dust on a minister's desk. But hey, let's talk about the weather. Listen, I mean, the conference is not setting a national agenda. Perhaps it should be on there, I don't know. But as it relates to that planning report, I believe it's going to be referenced tonight in an RTE programme that's being broadcast tonight. So it'll be interesting what's said about that. Look, I've asked, I don't know how many housing ministers about that report, when it's going to be published, when it's going to see the light of day. Still nothing. Every one of them said, it's on the desk, we're looking at it, we'll hope to get it released. And for whatever reasons I don't know, it's still not released. I don't know. So housing, Micah, is not a big enough issue nationally to be discussed by the councils this evening. It says it all, really, says this caller. The Donegal councillors should have used this opportunity to make it an issue. Yeah, I wonder other councillors from the county will be in attendance. I wonder what their feelings are about it not being at the top of or high up the agenda. Good morning. Could you please find out what's going on with the roadworks that's ongoing since before Christmas at Westbrook, Buncrana? The layout is not making any sense when exiting Westbrook to turn left. The back wheel is hitting off the footpath. That's a lorry has to cross to the other side to avoid this happening. Has anyone else an opinion on this? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. Hi, in Glasgow, when I was growing up, people used to call their mum Ma. Not for me, always Mammy. Catherine in Glenealy. A few Ma's coming in, that sort of M-A-W. Maybe that is that sort of Scottish Donegal connection. Call my mother Mum, M-U-M, was adamant that I would be Mum also. I thought Mammy sounded so strange, but hey-ho, my kids are more Irish than me, so I've ended up as Mammy, and how can I not like it now? Excuse me. How can I not like it now? I'm privileged to be a mammy, indeed. What about, what do you call grannies? Because that can be quite controversial. I know some mums, when they become grans, don't want to be called granny. But we're getting the right mixture in as to what we call our mums here. As a person who pays health insurance, I've tried in vain to get an appointment with my doctor. I find it strange how thousands can come into the country and get medical cards. Not sure if they're all getting medical cards, but I take your point. Was contacted by a listener yesterday who, just to get some blood work done, was told they'd have to wait until May. And speaking to another person who had to get blood work done, and they got it the next day. So it seems to be hit and miss dependent on where you are. Spain took in 20,000 Ukrainians. The Polish have taken thousands, but they are on the border. Ireland is being very impractical in support offers. How are we going to cope when we can't as we are? Well, we'll have to find a way, isn't it? That isn't the situation. I presume, Ukrainians are taking refuge in Poland with a view to getting back as soon as they possibly can. And obviously that's not practical for everyone. And then we'll find other European countries hosting these people. Listen, I remember when I used to work in a few seaside towns, there was a huge population of people from, a lot of them were from Eastern Europe, and no one batted an eyelid. And they came of their own free will, I think. Many of them stayed to call Ireland their home. Some returned. But we've always had, I think, a strong, particularly East European population in certain parts. At least it was in the past. And we coped then. So in terms of hosting them, doctors and, you know what I mean, schools and stuff like that there. So we found a way before. I'm sure we can find a way again. The leaders of this government really know how to divide society. We can't get homes despite being on waiting lists for years. And yesterday we discovered they can find 500 houses out of nowhere for others. Not to mention, I only have a GP visit card because I earn €50 over the medical card limit. Something needs to change. We're accepting 200,000 people. The majority will be children. Schools will need to be built overnight. Where will our tourists stay while hotels are booked out and overpriced? You mentioned children there. Many of them will be children, 30 children who are separated from their parents or are orphaned around in Ireland since the start of the war, which was imposed on them, the citizens. What would we do? I mean, are we seriously talking, people out there, like, if you believe that we should turn these children away and their families, let us know why. I mean, we can point out the fact that, people feel the government has failed the Irish people, successive governments, not enough investment in housing, not enough investment in healthcare. But to use that phrase, we are where we are we suggesting that we don't help these people? They are coming for refuge, they're refugees, and I presume that what the majority of them will want is to get back to their own country that they're so proudly defending. And this is probably a short-term thing. Hopefully, if the situation is resolved, the war ends, a lot of these people want to go back to their families. Some might choose to stay, and that is fine. But I mean, they're not here to displace anyone. We are, opening our doors to try and help people that are being bombed out of their homes. Is that not the right thing to do? I don't know if lots of people think it isn't, or just those that think it isn't are more motivated to text the show. I know there's an awful lot of people out there and a great outpouring of generosity and help, and those same people do the same. They donate to food banks here, they donate to St. Vincent de Paul, they donate to other charities to help Irish people too, and now they want to extend some of that generosity to people fleeing their country to escape bombs. let us know what you think. 086 60 25,000. Greg, with so much COVID around, could you have someone on to explain the rules re social distancing and self-isolating? Can people still work and study if a family member tests positive, as long as they keep testing negative and have no symptoms or are recovered from COVID recently? It's complicated. Obviously, I had COVID myself, trying to figure out what you can and can't do. It is quite complicated, but look, we can go through that, run through it for people. Greg, any idea what the low-flying plane over Muff this morning was? The noise of it was terrible. There's an awful lot of surveying has been going on, not an awful lot, 2 nights. Could it be that surveying plane? Maybe they're out in the morning because people were kicking up a stink that they were flying around south in Ishone. I was going to say North Donegal. I was going to say South Donegal and North Donegal, but you know what I mean. The middle part of the county, north of Letterkenny, south in Ishone, back and forward, doing some sort of surveying, and then they were over Derry as well, crossing back and forwards there. Maybe they were doing it in the morning rather than last thing at night. If it's noisy, it probably is that twin-engined propellered plane. A caller says Donegal is falling apart under mental health. Never mind medical support yet. We are bringing in hundreds from Ukraine with huge mental health issues after the war. Donegal migrant families were not offered hotel rooms while their houses fell around them. There appears to be a huge disparity in the treatment of EU citizens. I don't like staying in hotel rooms. I don't think that would be a 1 year, 6 month solution for micro-affected families. Maybe it would be. I don't believe it would be. And I don't think it's a long-term solution to helping our European neighbours who are being bombed from their country. It's 3 months contract. I presume people are hoping that this will be over by May, and it's not going to be a medium long-term thing. Who's to say? I don't know. Trying to call for an appointment with my GP. Surgery supposed to open at 9 a.m. Cannot get through, and getting a message at 9:03 that the surgery is still closed. Now getting a message that the call cannot be completed when trying to get through. Have any other listeners experienced this issue with the GP surgery? Let me tell you, GP surgeries at the moment are absolutely overwhelmed with people contacting them about the COVID situation. So maybe that's what's going on. Just because we don't talk about it as much and people aren't wearing masks and people are going about their business, there are thousands of people currently infected with it in Donegal alone, and the GPs are taking calls from them as well, be it referral for tests or whatever it might be. A caller says, don't forget that the taxpayer pays for their free legal aid. These are people who are in some cases awaiting trial or on trial. No free legal aid if found guilty might be a deterrent, or might be deducted from future income. That might be some sort of a deterrent. Right, let's take the bingo numbers. I just wanted to give a good run through of all your comments that were coming through this morning, and keep them coming on whatever issue you want to discuss, by the way. It just doesn't have to be what we are talking about at the very moment. All right, here are the bingo numbers. Good luck if you are playing.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 23rd of March. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S18. It's game number 12. The numbers are 1, 69, 17, 87, 72, 33, 11, 88, 84, and finally 19. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €3 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Aldi has everything to make this Easter extra special. Medium Cadbury cream eggs, buttons, Kit Kat and Smarties eggs just $1.65 each. That's 3 for under €5. Large Cadbury Twirl, Whisper and Maltesers eggs, just $3.99 each. And treat the kids with Easter egg hunt favourites from just 79¢. Visit Aldi or click and collect. So on your marks, egg set, go! Aldi, the home of an amazing Easter. See aldi.ie for terms and available stores. Charges apply.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go woo!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth €10,000.
Plus £5,000 spending money.
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place April 14th on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
Join me, David James, this Friday as the Jive Time Show will be coming to you live from Century Complex, Letterkenny. We will be celebrating 85 years of Century Cinemas, reminiscing on some of the old movies, how cinema has changed through the years, and as usual we have some fantastic giveaways on the day. That's this Friday from 2:30 to 5 p.m. on Highland Radio.
Tune in this Thursday for all the latest farming news and views straight after the 5 p.m. news. Brought to you in association with Liford Credit Union, who have recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call into any of their 3 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Liford Credit Union, Rafo Newton Liford, supporting local farmers.
Okay, so we are enjoying some beautiful weather across the northwest so far this week and across the country indeed. But what can we look forward to in the days ahead? Alan O'Reilly from Carlo Weather's back on the show. Hi, Alan.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good to have you with us. Actually, before we talk about the weather, can you talk to us a little about this sand? A lot of people woke up early this week with their cars covered in, is it sand from the Sahara? I saw some really interesting images from some ski slopes in France that looked like sand dunes more so. That's weather related, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me about that online. So we had some very strong southerly winds that basically exactly that, whip up the sand from the Sahara and bring it in to parts of Spain and France, as you say. Even some of the ski slopes were covered in snow, or covered in sand on top of the snow, which was a very unusual sight. But it has reached as far as Ireland. Now, generally speaking, it doesn't really come down without rain, so you need the showers of rain to bring the sand down, which happened in some areas over the weekend and late last week. So many people woke up maybe after, the nice sunny weather that they had decided to wash the car or maybe wash the house windows, and they saw this residue. And that is exactly it. Sand all the way from the Sahara carried in those very strong southerly winds, and then it brought down from the atmosphere when there's a bit of rain. So that's kind of what's caused that exactly.
I mean, it's really quite remarkable, isn't it, the power of weather? I mean, obviously we could never determine how much sand is lifted and transported north, but obviously it's huge amounts. It's just another wonder of nature, really.
Yeah, no, it really is. And some of the satellite images, you actually pick it up that you can see the concentration of it, especially around parts of Spain and in over Europe. It obviously is a lot less by the time it reaches us, but it is remarkable that it can be carried all the way from the Sahara Desert onto your car window when it does blow that direction.
Yeah. All right. Back to the weather then. Well, that is the weather. But back to the weather. And I suppose, when we look at the weather nationally, it can't cover all areas. So maybe we could focus on the northwest. Alan, what can we expect over the next few days?
Well, today is probably the best in terms of sunshine that parts of Donegal are going to see. Most areas in Donegal should have a lot of hazy sunshine this morning, and that will continue through today. Temperature is getting up to maybe 16, 17 degrees. I think Finner got up to 17.5 yesterday, actually. So we have a southeasterly wind at the moment, which is good for the northwest of the country because you're escaping the wind chill, really. So lots of pleasant sunshine today. Unfortunately, though, while many parts of the country will enjoy sunshine tomorrow, there'll be a lot of cloud tomorrow in the northwest. And that's actually also going to bring some patchy mist and even some little light showers at a time. So while most of the country will be enjoying the sunshine, unfortunately that won't be the case for parts of the west and the northwest. And obviously without the sunshine, it'll be back down to maybe 13 degrees, so feeling that bit cooler. As we head into Friday and the weekend, then there will be some sunny spells, but a lot of cloud around again. But there will definitely be some sunny spells. and still feeling warm when the sunshine does come through into the weekend, even maybe 15, 16 degrees, so pretty good for this time of the year.
Yeah,
so
I'll take that.
In terms of looking at it from a positive point of view, today's the best probably day of sunshine, but it's going to stay largely dry apart from maybe some mist tomorrow and some sunny spells over the weekend, still looking good.
And what are your models telling you as we head into next week and towards April?
Yeah, so unfortunately the winds are going to go northerly early next week. Now high pressure will still be kind of the dominant force from Monday and Tuesday, but I'm sure I don't need to tell your listeners up there what happens when the wind comes from the northerly direction. It's going to drop the temperatures, especially for you in Donegal.
We put our T-shirts back on, that's what happens.
I'd say you might want to get the big coats back out, to be honest with you.
We're hardier than that.
Yeah, it's going to get cool Monday and Tuesday. The temperature's back to probably 9-10 degrees. But the weather models are actually showing a risk of a bit of an even colder blast of weather to start April, and a little bit uncertain or a little bit unsettled. So temperatures could be back down to 6 or 7 degrees by day by the middle of next week, and we could see some wintry showers even. So,
wow. So and it's important to see, because I think what we're all doing is you see a bit of sunshine, and next thing you start looking at those empty pots, and you wonder, is it time to stop planting, and people cutting their lawns down nice and tight. But we're not out of the not winterish, but the wintry type weather just yet then.
No, certainly not. And I think even, patio furniture is coming out, and the lawnmowers are getting the first pull and all that, and it is great to see it. But April can bring pretty much anything as well, and it does look like it's going to start off cold. So don't maybe get ahead of yourself, and certainly there will be a risk of frost, so the gardeners will need to be aware of that, because unfortunately we will see, even tonight and tomorrow night, we could see some frost with clear skies, but especially as we head into next week, we could see that colder weather return. So yeah, just don't get ahead of ourselves, I suppose, is the main message.
But of course we had a superb April a couple of years ago. I think it was around about the time we started going into lockdown. It was 2, or was it 3? 2. We can't say we're going to have another April like that just yet then.
No, but you're right. Yeah, 2 years ago, even this time 2 years ago, when we were in lockdown, start of lockdown, it was really fine weather, and I remember looking at, all the different trees that were coming, cherry blossoms were coming out. It was beautiful weather, and you can get that in April, but it does look like it's going to start off cool, and really beyond the first week of April, it's anyone's guess what's going to happen.
No bother. Listen, Alan, thanks for your time again as always. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, that's Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather there. Right, now, we've been asked to wish Agnes Tinney from St Johnstone a happy birthday from Kathleen Coyle. Have a wonderful day, Agnes. And we've been asked to play a number of songs, including this one from the Beach Boys. Okay, it's aging quite well, isn't it? That is the Beach Boys and Good Vibrations. Okay, we are going to be joined by our next guest in studio after we take a quick break. Stay where you are.
Getting ready for the football season ahead? Visit Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Adidas Copa Sense football boots in soft ground and firm ground from only €80. Adidas Classics, Copa Mondial, World Cup and Kaiser Cup SG. Just arrived. The new Predator Edge .1 FG in black. Football boots, gloves, shorts and socks. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
If you're starting a new business in 2022, call into BizPrint today and get sorted. Logo design, invoice books, business cards, and all your printing needs. Call BizPrint at Port Road, Letterkenny on 9177955 or visit bizprint.ie.
All ready for next year? Why not make sure of it with SEAT? Trade up to a 221 SEAT SUV and you'll be offered PCP finance from 1.9% and a 3-year service plan for just $9.99 a month. With the bold new Arona, the stylish new Ateca, or the outstanding 7-seater Tarraco, we're all ready. Are you? Trade up to your 221 SEAT SUV at DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland, trading as SEAT Financial Services. Subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit seat.ie/221 for further information.
If you are worried that your alcohol or other drug use is negatively impacting on your life, reach out for support and information. Talk to your GP who can offer support and who can refer you on for further help if needed. Alternatively, call the Donegal HSE Community Addiction Service on 074 9128 769 or the HSE Alcohol Helpline, free phone 1800 459 459. When you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Help is out there. This ad has been supported by the Letterkenny Community Action on Alcohol and by the Healthy Ireland Fund, supported by the Department of Health and the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth.
McElhenny's Home Value event is back. Don't miss out on amazing offers with up to 50% off in-store and online. From bedding, kitchen, dining, curtains and furniture offers. Find something for every room in the house for less at McElhenny's Home Value event. Starts tomorrow in-store at 9:30 a.m. or shop online at mcelhennys.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. We've welcomed into studio now Rachel Elliott. Rachel, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm good. Can't complain.
Doing well. Okay. People may recognise your name, or if they're watching on social media, they may recognise your face. You had what can only be described as a completely life-changing incident in 2018. As much as you're comfortable in explaining, tell us what happened.
In the 19th of August 2018, I was involved in a car accident in Bundoran. And due to that, going out through the back window, I suffered a T9 spinal cord injury, and that's left me paralysed. But it's been difficult coming to terms with, but it's I'm getting there. It was just a horrific accident.
It was, and you were. You were very, very ill at the time. I mean, I presume there was, at least for a period of time, a fear that you wouldn't survive.
Yeah, well, whenever I was being transferred from Sligo till Dublin, they told my mum and dad and my family that they didn't know if I was going to make the journey to Dublin. But I did, and then I was in a coma then for 10 days. They had actually thought that I would have had a brain stem injury because of the swelling to my brain.
Yeah.
But it turned out then that I didn't, thank God, But then they just broke the news to me that I wouldn't walk again. Well, there's like a 1% chance of walking again.
Yeah, but you're trying to push those odds.
Oh God, I'll not give up until I am back on my feet.
And that's what we're going to talk about. That's what the whole nature of this conversation is about. You don't remember, how much of a period of time do you not really recall around that time, Rachel?
I don't remember. I remember being in work. I worked in a bar in Swaddling Bar, and I remember being at work putting on my makeup. And I'll never forget, there was this old man on the other side of the bar, and he was drinking like a pint of Guinness. And he was watching me put on my makeup, and he's like, "Where are you running to the night?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going out." But I couldn't remember anything after that. So we went to. I left a friend of mine's 2 sisters down in Donegal, but I didn't remember anything like that. So I think I don't remember anything from about 3 o'clock that day, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Until how far afterwards then do you sort of start having, do you remember being in hospital, coming out of the coma?
Well, I remember coming out of the coma, you know, like, because when I was in my coma, I was always thinking about this girl that does my hair, Becky. Clary, she owns her own hairdressers there in Irvinstown, and it was weird because we weren't friendly at the time. Like, I'd went to her the Wednesday before the accident, and she had done my hair, and I had brought the wee girl that was in the car with me into the hair salon with me, and they were all like, "Oh, bringing your friend into the hair salon, blah blah blah." That was fine. I just kept, like, in my coma, I just kept thinking about her. Like, I had pictured that her salon was in ICU. But I remember coming out then of the coma, and I remember two nurses being at the bottom of the bed, and they were talking about an accident, and I had said something, and then they just stopped the conversation because there wasn't allowed to be so much activity to my brain at that stage, you know.
And were you taken out of your coma, or did you come out of it naturally? I wonder.
What was it?
You were medically taken out of your coma?
Okay, medically it was okay. Now, in terms of dealing with it, has it been more difficult because you have one memory of, you know, being at work, putting your makeup on, and a vivid memory in that man having his drink, and then the next is waking from a coma, all that in between? I don't know, is it better not to remember, or has it been worse? Because it must feel like, you know, your life has changed, you woke up and everything's different.
When I woke up, you know, like, I never remember asking my family why I couldn't move my legs. Never remember that. If anything, I thought I was more interested in my phone, my hair extensions, because I was bald at the back, you know. And all I was like, "Mama, where's my hair extensions? You know, where have they gone to?" But I wanted my phone, and at that stage, my mum was like, "No, you can't have your phone in ICU." And I was like, "Mummy, I need to get speaking to Shiva. You know, I do need to get speaking to her." And Mummy was like, no. So my older sister came in, and I said, "Give me your phone, do I ring her?" And she was like, "No." But I kind of like at the face of her, you know, and I was kind of thinking there was something wrong then. But it was definitely hard to come to terms with, you know. Like, I remember being told I'd never walk again, but I don't remember ever saying to my family, "Why can I not move my legs?"
Yeah.
You know, I can never remember.
You weren't in that space at that time, it sounds like, because you were almost sort of in the pre-crash phase, because you were thinking about, you know, your appearance, contacting someone. The penny hadn't clearly dropped then. Did it hit you then like a sort of a wrecking ball, then all the terrible tragedy of the crash and also its impact on you?
Do you know what? I don't think it actually hit me until, honestly, like, obviously I was grieving when I'd heard that my friends had died and, like, the accident and stuff like that. I was grieving, and I was so upset and stuff. But when I think back now, I'd be like, I think it just hit me on June past there, you know, where I just literally had a breakdown mental. Like, I just couldn't control any emotion, and I think it was because after the court case and stuff, I just couldn't believe it. It was so real. Like, somebody had went to jail for it. You know, we had heard the whole facts, and I just think ever since April, I just couldn't cope with any emotion. So then, when I couldn't cope with it, I was like, I need to get help. I just knew it. You know, like, there was my sisters, you know, my mum and dad, and everyone was ringing me. If they couldn't get me on the phone, they were checking my social media, checking to see when I was last online and stuff, just to see, you know, because they obviously knew that there was something wrong with me, like I was just having a breakdown, and they didn't know if they were...
I think it's helpful you recognise that, though.
Yeah, well,
you know,
I did.
I think that really helped, but a lot of people wouldn't. But no. You knew that something...
I knew there was something wrong. Intervention, yeah. It was me crying over a dog that I was like, oh my good God, there's something wrong with me, because, you know, I was crying over real stupid stuff.
Yeah, I know. But at least you spotted it. And also, too, you have to look after yourself, but you know the impact this has had on your sisters and your family and what they're going through, and your son Ronnie too, 3 at the time. You know, there's an awful lot going on there, having to process your emotions as to how you might feel towards the driver, for example, or, you know what I'm on about, there's just no end to what you're having to cope with. Having your son Ronnie, how was that difficult, sort of? I mean, he's so young. And children are so adaptable, but there's still a pressure on you to make it as manageable for him as possible, presumably too.
At the start it was difficult, but I think now, because I am so independent, I don't need, as I say to everybody, there's only, the only difference between me and you is that you're standing and I'm sitting. I can handle Ronnie no problem now, whereas at the start I would have had my family staying with me and helping me look after him, whereas now it's just me and him, and it's brought me and him such a real good close relationship, because he understands.
He's your buddy now.
Yeah. And he, say if I got out of the shower, he would be coming after me with my wheelchair, and he'd put it on one side of the bed. I'd get in off the shower chair into my bed, and then he'd be away off the shower chair back into the bathroom. So he's really adjusting to it too. But he does still say, I was slagging him one day about going out for a beer with him and his friends when he's older, and he says, "No, Mummy, no." And I says, "No, I am. I'm coming out with you." And he was like, "No." And I goes, "You can push Mummy about." And he goes, "No, Mummy, you'll be walking by then." So he's never give up hope either that I will walk again,
Yeah, and that is your focus now.
Yes.
This is mission one at the moment.
I'm not going to stop. I don't care if it takes me years. I am going to walk again.
What is the practicalities of you being able to walk? Because the paralysis can't be reversed, so you have to learn to walk a different way. Is that the way it is?
Yeah, well, in order for me to walk, it has to start from here down, so you need your
just from the
core
belly
and
button
stuff,
area and down, yeah.
So I've already regained feeling back in my stomach. I've got fit to use my muscles and all in my stomach. So that has been progress now from maybe the last 4 or 5 months. And that's been going to private physiotherapist and losing weight, and then I'm flat out training with a PT. With the Smart Gym and Listen Ski. So I go to PT 3 times a week, and then I also go to Belfast once a week for physio. But now I was down getting measured for calipers, and they came and they just need a wee bit of adjustment. So they're been sent away for another 2 weeks. Then they come back to see if they're ready for me to walk in, and then they go back for another 2 weeks.
So calipers would give a bit of rigidity. Is that?
Calipers will you'll not be walking properly in them, but you will be lifting your hip, hinching.
I get you. Yeah.
Some people can walk on it with crutches, and then some people use the Zimmer frame. But my aim is for the crutches. But she says to me, Rachel, we'll the Zimmer frame first, and then we'll go on to that. But
is it kind of a bit where whatever they tell you, you're gonna? Well, I'm actually gonna go further than that.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, that's you want to say, not that they don't support you and want the best for you, but you're just gonna say, well, that's what you think medically. This is what I'm capable of.
But I think it took, it'll be 4 years now in August, and I think it took me 3 years to get used to my grief and stuff like that. And I didn't really care about doing exercise or wanting to get better, and now it's just this year I'm just that's it. I'm not being in the wheelchair.
So you had to get yourself, did you, in the best emotional space that you can? And now you might be there. It's always an ongoing journey, of course, for all of us. But now you can focus more on the physical element of it.
Oh God, yeah, because it was my mental health that deteriorated last Father's Day, and I just was no, I need help. So I have a mental health nurse. I see a psychiatrist.
There's good and bad days too, presumably.
Oh God, yeah. The last couple of days have been tough, but today I'm in great form. Then it's just one of them days. You just have to take it.
Right. So. You are firstly you're on TikTok now. You're getting a lot of traction on there. Why did you go down that route? Because some people sort of withdraw into a shell and want to do it very privately. And I'm not saying you're doing everything publicly, but why did you decide to sort of jump on the TikTok train, so to speak?
It was actually my counsellor had says to me, Rachel, I think you could really help a lot of people, and I was like, no.
How
and
could
she
I?
was
Yeah.
I think you could. So one day I was on TikTok, and my sister-in-law used to always be on. I'd be like, what are you on that for? But I had just created an account just to view other people's. So I was this one day I was like, you know what, I'll just say something. So then it just kind of went mad with the whole followers and stuff. And then it's been really good, but I talk about everything. I be completely honest about it. I tell them the good days, the bad days. I tell them about my past. I tell them go and look at it. That's in my past. I can't change anything. So all that matters now is what I'm doing in the future. But people, you do get trolls and stuff on it.
Well, listen, unfortunately, that is social media. But obviously then people are going to message you, right? Because what you're going through or what you've been through in your life and how you're dealing with it, other people can relate to that even if they haven't gone through the same thing.
The amount of people that's wrote to me
That's
about
what I was going to say. How does that feel when you realise that you're touching people, even in what you're dealing with, people are saying, right, actually you're an inspiration, or this is what you're doing for me. Did it take a while to sort of go, well, what are they?
No, well, people would be writing to me. Like, there was one person wrote to me about their son being in a wheelchair, and they showed him the video of me getting in and out of the car. And I was like, imagine I've helped one person. So then there was another woman who wrote to me, another one. They were like, I'm going to end up in a wheelchair and this is what the doctor said to me and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, you know what? It does take time to get used to. I don't think you ever accept it. But, it's one of these things, you either make the most of it or you're just going to be completely depressed. So I just tell them that everybody's different and everybody's emotions is different, but there is good days and there is bad days. I do still get my bad days.
Yeah, and how do you deal with the comments? You might get them on TikTok. There are professional trolls, and that's what they do. For some reason, that's how they get by, which is terribly dark and sad. But maybe people might comment on your GoFundMe page or what.
Yeah. But you know what?
It weighs you down, though, doesn't it? Or it can do. Maybe.
Do you know what? It does and it doesn't. I actually was talking to my cousin last night about this. I was like, you know what? There is nothing anybody can say to me that would annoy me. Somebody called me a handicap a couple of days ago, and I just was like, if you want to, that's his morbid.
But these nasty people that are capable of this, though, it doesn't matter what status you have, whether they will find something that they think will hurt you, and that's what they will focus on. It could be a chair, or it could be your looks, it could be whatever it might be, and that's just unfortunately that is just the way it is, and there's very little these companies seem to do to try and moderate that, really, in truth.
But Greg, if that had been last June and somebody had said something to me like that, I'd have been like, oh my god, I can't cope with this. But see now, I just be like, whatever, if that's your opinion, if that's how you feel, then what can you do?
I think it says an awful lot more about them than it might you.
I've got stronger. I'm fit to take on anything.
Right, so let's you as well as sort of helping people, reaching out, and the helping bit sort of happened. I don't think that was necessarily your intention, but it's happened, which I can understand fully. Also, you've set up a GoFundMe page. Now, what's the purpose of? It's Rachel's Journey, by the way. If you want to search on GoFundMe, what are you fundraising for specifically?
I want to get the carbon fibre calibers.
The lighter, the lightness and strength, presumably.
It is, because the carbon fibre ones would be kind of ones that you could take out in public. Now the NHS ones, they are okay, but they're very they're cheap. They're just the bog standard. Yeah. But not only that, there, Greg, I'm going to be travelling to Belfast 4 times a week. And with fuel and stuff. Obviously, I don't have a lot of money. I'm a single mum. Nothing's happened with the whole compensation thing yet, and it's just to help me even get down there, even to stay away for a night down there instead of travelling up and down 4 times a week. But my main aim is for the calipers. I would love the carbon fibre ones, but they're just so expensive.
And you're just asking people if they enjoy your TikToks or they want to help, or they've got a few spare euro that would make a big difference to you.
Yeah, but I don't want anyone to feel like they have to. I just.
No, that's clear. And it's always a choice. You're not guilting anyone into do it if they want to and contribute to improving your life. And, obviously, too, your son would love to see you up and about. I think that's...
I was on the standing for him yesterday and he was like, Mummy, look it, you're standing up. He was so chuffed.
You talked about feeling coming back,
Yes.
Is there a possibility that over time with the right rehab that maybe, some of what's happened to you might be reversed more?
Well, my private physio, she was like, oh my God, I've been going to her for 3 years, and she was like, geez, this is the most that you have done, and she was quite shocked. So she wasn't.
Brilliant.
She was like the whole weight loss thing, and me tensing my muscles and stuff was something I could never do. And I was like, do you think it could all come back? And she was like, never say never.
Yeah, she has to manage your expectations too.
She just keeps working with me, and she just says,
Who's to say? Do you have a thing that you want to achieve, or I know it's about walking, but is there something beyond that? Or
I would love to walk, but I also love helping other people.
Yeah.
If I could, if there was one of my TikToks and it was only one person that helped, then that there is all that matters. I don't want anybody to like suffer alone or be depressed lying in their bed. Like, I want somebody to be fit to speak to me and, you know, tell me how they're feeling. If I can help them any way, I will. I just wouldn't wish this on anyone, and if I can help anybody in any way, I will.
All right, brilliant. Okay, so if you are inspired by Rachel's story, you can support Rachel in her journey, and you can go on to GoFundMe, search Rachel's journey. It's the easiest way, or maybe your social media. Presumably, it's linked there. Rachel, where are you? You're on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok. I'm not on any other social media. I went off that. I'm never going back on.
Why is that?
I couldn't cope with, you know, Facebook. After the court, there was a lot of nasty comments.
It's too community community orientated, but without going into the nitty gritties, there's a sort of a global anonymous, not anonymous, but it's not about friends and connections and all that kind of stuff that you get on.
It was horrible. People saying, you know, how can you forgive somebody that's ruined your life? And I just thought, you know what, I don't need all that.
But that's for you though, isn't it? It's a decision you've made.
Yeah, like I says till, like before we went into the court, that fella that is in jail, he says to me, I've destroyed your life. And I says, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. My life has changed. And like, that's all it is. It's changed. Yeah. There's no difference between me and you. Only you're standing and I'm in a chair.
Yeah, and I think everyone's, and it's easier said than done, but everybody's experience or grief or loss or how it impacts their life, it's how you feel personally, and we can't all think the same. We're not conditioned to do so. So if this is how you're living your life and how you want to proceed with it,
I can't deal with being.
You just have to.
I can't deal
you
with
have to
being
be
angry.
You at this stage, can't you?
Yeah, I can't deal with being angry, and I just want to forgive and forget, and that's just my there's. Being angry with somebody is only doing me harm, so I don't be angry.
Are you happy with how you're touching people now through the social media? Is that you think the way to do it? Have you started saying, I wonder maybe I could do something more formal, courses or whatever?
Well, that's what we're kind of hoping for. Like, you know, I can maybe do more things, like even speak to more people. Even like I was on Zoom to a school in Wexford, you know, and if I can help anyone, I will. You know, especially like children that, you know, like students that I'd like, think before you get into a car, it's overloaded. Think before you do anything. Yeah. You know, think before you get into a car with somebody drink driving. You know, like it's
interesting because that was the focus of the bank holiday message, was to try and put a bit of onus onto not just the driver but the passenger as well, and it all kind of ties in. Listen, the very best of luck with everything going forward.
Thank you.
I think you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. I think that's pretty clear, and I hope you have more good days than bad days going forward.
Thanks very much.
I think you've very supportive family. I think that's pretty clear too.
Yes.
And Ronnie as well sounds pretty
Maybe
supportive
sister's
as well.
My rock. She's looking at me here.
She's your rock and camera woman, all in the.
Yeah.
Have you ever stayed quiet for this long? I wondered, would you be a chatter?
No, she's here, you don't speak.
It's all about me.
Listen.
Don't ask about her injuries, you'll hear about them too.
Okay, we'll maybe do another interview on that one. Listen, continued success on the road to recovery, as I say, hopefully more good days than bad days. And if people want to help you, search Rachel's Journey on GoFundMe and you'll find the story there. But also, if you want to jump on TikTok, what's your handle on TikTok? Is it Rachel Elliott?
Let's go and check here.
Well, we'll find that out. I'll announce that later.
I don't know what it is.
Now she's just scrolling TikTok.
It's Rachel Elliott 03.
You mean there's two more? Okay. We'll be back with more, in fact, the news after the break. But for now, Rachel Elliott and sister, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at rmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Get ready for brighter days with Foy & Company. The Ballybuffet and Letterkenny stores have everything you need to get your outdoor spaces ready for summer. Foy stock all the leading paint brands and wallpapers, all available for nationwide delivery. From garden sheds and furniture to outdoor dining and decking, the Foy & Company team will guide you through the process of selecting the right paint for your indoor or outdoor space. Book your free online or in-store colour consultation today at foys.ie.
Bluebird Care are looking for you. Bluebird Care are currently seeking carers and nurses to join their ever-expanding team. Immediate starts for carers in all parts of the county, especially Letterkenny, Inishowen and Donegal Town. Bluebird Care are also looking for registered general nurses for day and nighttime 12-hour shifts. Contact Bluebird Care on 07491 9562 or visit bluebirdcare.ie and bring care home.
Store and Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store and Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations, business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store and Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice, or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
Jim and Natasha Colin Ferreter and Shaw. Ihe in your Shaw Shart, Guji Hopper Clog, Rulia Bulia Highland Radio, La Katrina Nick Sean, as Clore Nagale, a torch for Okaj Vronta in Gidor, Jerry Shart in your Shaw. August Tijagus Tishkent, Sher Log Anyam Naha, La John O'Farry, Nahal Panel Changa near Hushkish. Shar Guji Hopper Clog, Shar Highland, Rulia Bulia, Biggie Lane.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. This summer is going to be one of the busiest ever. Check out our summer flights to European cities such as Barcelona, Cologne and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, today will be mostly dry with spells of hazy sunshine. There'll be well scattered showers later. Temperatures 15 to 17 degrees with light south westerly winds. It is just turned a minute past 11. It's time for a news update, and we welcome back into studio Catherine Gaffney. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Greg. The Finance Minister says no matter what the government do in a bid to counteract the rising cost of living, it'll never be good enough for the opposition. Minister Paschal Donoghue was reacting to a Sinn Féin motion on rising energy costs, which was brought forward to the Dáil yesterday evening. The party believe that the measures announced by the government in recent weeks, while welcome, do nothing to address the spiralling cost of home heating. Russia's foreign minister says if peacekeeping troops are sent into Ukraine, it could start a conflict with NATO. It follows a suggestion from Poland. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian president says in Mariupol, which is one of the worst affected areas, around 100,000 people don't have any food or water. The HSE boss says a perfect storm of high COVID cases, emergency department attendances and staff absences is affecting our hospitals currently. Over 7,700 PCR confirmed COVID cases and nearly 16,000 positive antigen tests were recorded yesterday alone. 82 COVID patients are currently being treated on site at Letterkenny University Hospital, one of them in ICU. The Association of Irish Local Government is holding its annual training conference in Buncrana over the next 2 days, with Local Government and Planning Minister Peter Burke opening the event this evening. The conference at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel will look at a number of issues, including the Town Centre First initiative, from which a number of towns in Donegal are set to benefit. It's thought post offices should take responsibility to check and validate passports. It's in a bid to provide more services within the post office network, while it's also thought it would alleviate the huge backlog in passport applications. There's a similar system in place in Northern Ireland. And there's fears that an ancient boat discovered at Liford Bridge may be lost forever if it's not preserved sooner rather than later. It's believed that the 16-foot-long log boat dates back to the Iron Age and was found by members of the Liford Straban Anglers Association in recent weeks. That's it for now. We're back with more at 12 noon.
Okay, Catherine, thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back with more in the 9 till noon show after we take this break.
We all deserve a better work-life balance.
But not all of us have the space to work from home.
Connected Hubs brings together flexible workspaces across Ireland on one simple website.
So you can quickly and easily find a hub in your local area.
It's everything you want from an office without the lengthy commute.
Meaning you don't have to trade quality of life for quality of workspace.
Give yourself space. Visit connectedhubs.ie or download the app to discover a hub near you.
Connected Hubs is part of Our Rural Future, a Government of Ireland initiative.
Wet and
Wet n Wild is your one-stop shop for outdoor clothing, footwear and equipment to enjoy the Donegal outdoors and adventure travel abroad. Wet n Wild stock all the leading outdoor brands of rainwear, waterproof footwear, sandals, tents, cooler boxes, flasks, insect repellents, swimwear, merino socks and sunglasses, and are fully stocked for the summer season right now.
Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny now has even longer opening hours. Try Kelly's Early Bird Breakfast, one of their great lunch specials, or a renowned Jake's Burger. Kelly's famous steak specials are available every Saturday from 3, with an 8-ounce succulent steak and all the trimmings for just €11. New extended opening hours now in Kelly's award-winning diner at Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Check out Facebook for details.
Looking to treat your mum to something personal this Mother's Day? You can now add your own special touch to the iconic Dunnes Stores e-gift card. Choose a photo of mum or select a snap of someone she loves, whether it's you, a family member or even her furry friend. Upload your photo and we'll add it to her e-gift card, which she can use online across fashion, food and homeware. Buy and send a personalised e-gift card at any time or schedule it to arrive on Mother's Day. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions, exclusions and minimum spend applies.
Enjoy your bath.
I will.
Now.
Lovely. What's that splashing?
Oh no, Desi! Something's leaking!
Oh, there's water everywhere. There's a pipe leaking through the ceiling. Oh.
With Allianz Home Insurance, you get emergency home assistance at no extra cost. So when those unexpected moments happen, we'll be here to help. Visit allianz.ie for a quote and get 20% off your home insurance. Allianz plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, policy conditions and minimum premium apply.
All right, so as you may have heard in the news there are calls for post offices to take responsibility to check and validate passports. It's in a bid to provide more services in the post office network, while it's also thought it would alleviate the huge backlog in passport applications. The suggestion is coming from Deputy Mark McSharry, who joins us now. Good morning, Mark. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg.
I mean, I'm conscious of us discussing, giving post offices further responsibilities, and yet I was speaking to the head of the Postmasters Union yesterday, who says they're not being paid already for the extra work that they've taken on. So I suppose we'd need to fix that before we talk about asking them to do more.
Well, no, actually, my suggestion comes from negotiations and discussions with the Postmasters Union. So if you were speaking to Ned O'Hara, their General Secretary, yesterday, and indeed Finola McBride, who'd be the Donegal kind of representative on the National Council of the Postmasters Union, they were aware of my call. And the essence here is to kill two birds with the one stone. As I said last night in the Dáil, in terms of our processing of passports and our assessment of applications, when I first went into national politics 20 years ago, I could get your passport in 2 days, Greg. Now I have one particular child waiting 8 months because of the administrative merry-go-round that comes. So what we were suggesting was that, like what we have just across the border in Straban, where they have a check and send service, that we would introduce a check, validate and send process throughout our post office network, for which people would pay.
So it's pre-clearance effectively locally.
Just a level one clearance.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you, it is complicated. I'm in the process at the moment of a child's passport, and you dependent on their website, whether you speak to someone directly on the website, they ask you for different bits of information. Some you're supposed to send, some you're not supposed to send. You're not supposed to send extra documents, so that can invalidate it. Then when you try and track it, it says it's about to be dispatched, but at the same time it says that there are problems with it and further documentation is required. I mean, we should have got our head around how to do this correctly at this point.
No, absolutely. I made all of these points last evening. I mean, there's now 900 staff in the passport office nationally. 300 extra have been recruited to bring it up to 900 rather at the moment. 10 million additional in the budget. And all we're doing is putting in unnecessary layers of bureaucracy that make that difficult. Now, if you're able to go to your post office with some basic training and a fee to the postmasters to help them with their viability, which is the issue that I was addressing last night at the main. And I've also talked to unnamed individuals within the passport office that if they did a level one check, whether you were uploading it as an online one or a paper one, Obviously, they want to see everybody going the online route. Now, not everybody has that capability, so again, maybe the post office could assist with this to ensure the most regular problems are signatures in the wrong place, or the dates between guardians and the relevant guard being different, and the consent forms for children in particular. And these are the issues that are rising. You mentioned the tracking bar, where people are, their application in, they watch this bar progressing day by day. Their passport is due out on Friday to them. They're flying on Saturday, and on Thursday, it goes back to the beginning.
And it says with an asterisk, the dispatch time is not accurate. Why put it there at all? If it is not some sort of an indication as to when the passport might be sent out to you, don't put it in there. Just don't put an asterisk there.
Totally agree. One of the points I made last night on the questions paper for this week in the Dáil, there are more questions relevant to passport applications than there was in the history of the state. I said last week, in terms of processing passports, we have gone at warp speed in reverse in terms of our approach to processing, and are over complicating what needs to be a secure, certainly, but simple process. And back to the post offices for a second, which is the genesis of the suggestion for me in trying to help them. Minister Hildegard Lofton, the junior minister associated with on post, was given responsibility by the senior minister last year to do a trawl across all government departments and agencies to see how additional services could be diverted to the postmasters and our post office network nationally to bring up that shortfall of 17 million that they have. Here's one tangible suggestion for her to consider, and I hope that she does, because it's a 17 million shortfall. Consecutive governments of my own colour and none, and all colours, have paid lip service to this service nationally. We've seen them close time and again, and the rest of them are going to close completely unless something is done to make them in some way viable.
And listen, that's as it relates to post offices, but people have been talking about post offices in the regions for decades. This would be one way to sort of at least move in that direction. But also, I mean, what staggers me is that we do elect politicians and they form governments to make decisions, we think obvious decisions, things that make life easier. Anyone would have known post-Brexit there's going to be a rush on passports. During the pandemic, we're going to leave them in the drawers, take them out and realise that, they're not valid. They know when passports are expiring. Like, a lot of this stuff is predictable, and yet we're firefighting again. We're scrambling to try and address an issue. We're greatly inconveniencing the public. And we had, it's one of those issues, we just knew what was coming.
Yeah, and there are so many things like that. The practice in Ireland, sadly, is that we firefight. Nobody is interested in planning, only when it comes to introducing additional bureaucracy and regulation. So the message is, sadly, that politicians, as I say, increasingly pay lip service, go native as soon as they get in there, and defer to the likes of Robert Watt, who makes up his own salary, as we know, adding 80,000 last year. I also told an anecdote last night of a minister who had been contacted on a Tuesday, and this gives you an example of the autopilot with which government is on, sadly, and that how authority has been subcontracted to everybody but elected representatives. A minister was contacted on a Tuesday for somebody travelling to a funeral in the United States the following Saturday. They needed to fly on the Friday. There is a TD helpline in the passport office. The minister in question rang this, gave the details, and was laughed at, in his words. There's no way that can be turned around in that time. So sadly, but dutifully, the minister returned to the punter who had contacted them. We needed to go to the States, explained it couldn't be done, and apologised. The person said back, well, I'm sorry, you're not trying hard enough. You're useless. In fact, I'm going to have to go elsewhere. That self-same individual contacted the minister on the Friday from the departure lounge at Dublin Airport, having collected their passport in Ivy House the night before. And I made the point last night, that is totally unacceptable, but it is consistent with the way elected politicians are being treated by the civil service.
Well, you will remember too.
That's down to senior government ministers allowing that to develop.
Of course, we all remember too. I can't remember how long ago it is that the passport office refused or said it would not be engaging with public representatives. I can't remember what the quarrel was about. But that left the public in the firing line over a quarrel between Passport Services staff and elected representatives. I think maybe about 5 or 6 years ago.
I remember it well.
It shouldn't have. Civil servants shouldn't have that power. Everyone has the power to protest. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but I'm not sure that was even a formal situation. I think they just wanted to frustrate the situation. That's completely unacceptable. Who's employing who? Who's paying whose wages?
This is a point that many of us in backbenches and in the lower echelons of national politics make on a regular basis. But sadly, it seems when what, for all intents and purposes, were very excellent, hard-working, focused and idealistic politicians interested in making change, once they get there enjoying the smiles, it seems that they're just happy to sit on the bus and let the civil service, the senior civil servants, not the very hard-working middle management and below, but the senior civil servants that guide the direction and performance of that bus. That to me is unacceptable at the extreme. And this is one example of it.
Okay, and the point I was making right at the very start, we're probably on the same page. I can understand you making the representations in conjunction with the Post Office Postmasters Union. But, you know, if an agreement is signed and An Post is refusing to pay money for a service that postmasters are providing, you know, you wouldn't get away with that in most other businesses. It would mean that we've an awful lot way to go. Do you know what I mean? We need to get now sorted and then the future stuff. So I wasn't contradicting you. I was just saying that my optimism is limited in achieving all of that, but I think it would be useful.
So is mine, because of, again, ministers of the day or governments of the day or politicians go to the public meetings, pay the lip service. Yes, we're all in favour of supporting post offices. But when the power is within their hands, they do so. They'll quote the commercial mandate of An Post, profitability's bottom line. And the Grant Thornton report, and it's a very formidable and reputable company to which the government regularly defer for independent reports to guide their own decisions, carry out a report on the viability and review of future of the post office network. And what they found, just a 17 million shortfall. However, they put a value on the service provided of between 335 and 750 million per annum. So I think sometimes when it comes to public services, we need to see the value and acknowledge it before we focus exclusively on the pounds, shillings and pence of the bottom line. And you rightly said that there are services that there was agreement to pay on in terms of increased money laundering activities that postmasters have to carry out, foreign exchange and so on. And up to date, it seems that An Post have welsh on payment of those.
And
so
processing the Christmas bonus payments, and there's plenty there as well.
I don't want to preempt the vote that the members of the Irish Postmasters Union are going to have next week, and I'll certainly support them in their decision, whatever it is. But in the meantime, it's about pressuring An Post and the central government to come up with those additional services, which I believe people would be happy to pay.
All right, listen, thanks very much indeed for that. That's Deputy Mark McSharry.
The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes, Monday to Friday, with all that matters across the Northwest.
Eileen can milk 49 cows in 57 minutes. Michael could wire a new kitchen in under 3 hours. And John can fix Sandra's shower, sink and toilet all before lunch. Fair play to you, John. These people are experts at what they do, so they work fast. We're experts in getting to know their business and helping it be better connected with Ireland's fastest mobile network. If you're a small business, switch to 3 Business from only €15 per month. Visit us in store or at 3.ie/business. 3 Business, where connections come to life. €15 per month for the first 12 months on our SIM-only plan, €25 thereafter, based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data for Q3 to Q4 2021.
We're the connectors. At ESB Networks, we've been connecting customers to Ireland's power network for years. We've also been making new connections, building a network that's stronger than ever, so we can all be kinder to the planet. Connecting our network to natural resources and Ireland to a net zero future that's more sustainable. ESB Networks, connecting you to a clean electric future.
Make Creaseless Supermarket your #1 stop for this Mother's Day, with a large selection of fresh flowers, chocolates and cards. For the perfect meal, our Butcher's Special will deliver on both quality and value with choice of steaks and roasts. We have everything you need to make Mother's Day special. Creaseless Supermarket, here for your convenience.
Pet Value Ballybuffet has just got bigger. Yes, we've opened store number 2 at St Mary's Road, Buncrana. And to celebrate, one lucky customer will win €1,000 off home heating oil. Simply call into the store during March and you will be entered into the draw. Pet Value are open Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. till 6 p.m, Sunday 12 till 5, with fantastic offers across both stores. Pet Value, your one-stop shop for all your animal needs.
We all deserve a better work-life balance.
But not all of us have the space to work from home.
Connected Hubs brings together flexible workspaces across Ireland on one simple website.
So you can quickly and easily find a hub in your local area.
It's everything you want from an office without the lengthy commute.
Meaning you don't have to trade quality of life for quality of workspace.
Give yourself space. Visit connectedhubs.ie or download the app to discover a hub near you.
Connected Hubs is part of Our Rural Future, a Government of Ireland initiative.
Join me, David James, this Friday as the Jive Time Show will be coming to you live from Century Complex, Letterkenny. We will be celebrating 85 years of Century Cinemas, reminiscing on some of the old movies, how cinema has changed through the years, and as usual we have some fantastic giveaways on the day. That's this Friday from 2:30 to 5 p.m. on Highland Radio.
Forward Emphasis International, based in Mallinhead, are actively recruiting for customer service advisors with both permanent remote working and hybrid opportunities available. Experience in contact centres or insurance services is desirable but not essential, as full training is provided. Fully funded financial services qualifications delivering attractive career path opportunities are available. Please visit their website www.forwardemphasis.ie or apply via their careers page.
Now, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show, and I am very pleased to welcome on to it Professor Ravi Vora, who is a world expert in emergency surgery systems, and Mr. Michael Sugru, surgeon at Letterkenny University Hospital and project lead. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
And I think we should say right from the beginning, you two are going to be doing the heavy lifting during this interview, because it's a complex area. And I'm going to ask you first, Mr. Sugru. Can you explain to us the Cross-Border Centre for Personalised Medicine Emergency General Surgery cluster and how it creates a new era in the treatment for emergency surgery patients, please?
Yes, Greg. Approximately 4 years ago, we received a European Union grant, which is separate from the HSC funding, and we undertook some strategies to identify emergency surgery patients, create a registry to allow data interrogation, create clinical pathways, new ways to treat patients, combined with research in a team of 5 people that worked in Letterkenny with some cross-border collaboration with Athnagelvin and Scotland. During this 3-year period, we created a database, identified and enrolled over 6,000 patients that were admitted to Letterkenny Hospital, because emergency general surgery is about abdominal pain, predominantly, Greg, that your listeners might have had: diverticulitis, appendicitis, cholecystitis. So what we've done is we've worked with international leaders such as Professor Vora from Nottingham and others to create this novel system that will allow interrogation of data and create new benchmarks. And it's been a very exciting 3 years. And today we've launched our report, which is available on Donegal Clinical Research Academy, dcra.ie website. And that's a very comprehensive report looking from patient admission, patient treatment, patient outcomes, key performance indicators. And our recommendations are that we feel that this should be a national system, not just in Ireland, but across the European Union, Greg.
Professor Vora, how important do you believe this document is, this research? How important do you believe it is, and how impactful could it be on millions of people effectively?
So I think it's actually really, really important. And as Michael has already highlighted, it provides a framework, a platform to allow us to compare what's going on across different hospitals, different regions, and even different countries. So one of the things that is really important for us as surgeons to understand is we don't want our patients going into hospitals and being treated differently for the same diseases. So for example, Greg, if you get an appendicitis, you want to know that if you go into a hospital, your treatment will be the same in Letterkenny as it is in London, as it is in Madrid or Barcelona. we want to be able to assure that, because so much over the years in surgery has been done through dogma. Individual surgeons, individual hospitals doing what they think is right and not really working together or understanding what is the best way to treat really common conditions.
So how could, sorry, Professor, how could then say, how do you then ensure that someone in a hospital presenting with a condition in Letterkenny gets the same treatment in Madrid? So, what is the process that ensures that?
Well, this platform actually ensures that by individual hospitals, individual surgeons, different hospitals in different countries inputting their data into this type of platform, into this type of database, it allows us to compare what's going on across different hospitals. And then in addition to that, it allows us to look at all those patients that are inputted into that database, saying, well, the patients here are doing slightly better because they're having this, or these patients are not doing as well because they're not getting that. And that's really the power of these sorts of databases that Michael and the team here have set up.
Yeah, and of course, Professor, and I'll bring Michael back in a moment. This has the potential to save, I think, an estimated 20,000 lives across the EU. But presumably, it's an excellent tool also for those who are responsible for trying to save these lives.
Yes, it is. And inbuilt in this, we have educational programs. So we have new key performance indicators or key outcome indicators, Greg, to define what we think should be a benchmark. To achieve that, we have to train our staff, and we have the emergency abdominal surgery course, which Professor Vora has taught on in Dublin, and others from around the world. So we try and instill the values that we want to achieve based on current evidence. Now, the evidence does change from year to year, and things do change.
But presumably the system is flexible to adapt to that.
It is, but change is very hard.
Okay.
And that is a challenge for us. We're humans. And I don't know if Professor Vora wants to comment on this.
No, I mean, we are, and we are very much driven by dogma, and what has worked for us in the past tends to affect our decision making. So, but that's flawed in essence. What we should be doing is learning from the best practice from the best people, and the people working on this project Michael has brought those people together, not only to create a database, but also to get the best leaders in this sort of area together to basically inform us as surgeons what the best treatment pathways are.
Yeah, and when I talked about flexibility, I wasn't necessarily talking about the current system. I was talking more maybe, this system, in that, if there are evolutions or changes, that would be quite, would be easier to reflect perhaps.
So I think one of the biggest learnings is actually over the last couple of years has come during COVID. So COVID has provided a real stress test for all healthcare systems around the world. And obviously, different countries have done differing amounts for it. But one of the things that's happened in surgery, particularly emergency surgery, these patients haven't gone away. People have still been presenting with appendicitis, with bowel perforations, but they have been treated differently because resources have been moved away from the front door to help patients with COVID who are struggling to breathe, who need intensive care capacity. So, but again, but we see those variations not as extreme as during COVID, but during the winter months, where more people come into hospital with chest infections, for example. But what we want to be able to understand is how we can protect resources for patients who are still coming through the front door, because they always do with things like appendicitis or bowel perforations.
Mr. Sugar, how do we arrive at the 20,000 figure in terms of lives potentially being saved and in reducing complications? Obviously, those two things are linked, but how do we arrive at that number?
If you take the European Union, about 15 million admissions annually with abdominal pain and acute surgical conditions. Of those, 400,000 undergo what's called a major abdominal operation, a laparotomy. Of those, about 10% die. That's 40,000. So that's a very significant number of deaths. Now, most of these are not avoidable deaths, but what we can do with treatment is we can improve the level of treatment. And Professor Vora and the Association of Surgeons of Great Britain and Ireland and the NELA group have reduced their mortality in that condition from 15% down to about 8%. And we're working with collaborating groups to reduce that mortality. So if we can reduce the mortality from 10% down to 8% or 6%, that's where that figure comes from. But more importantly for our listeners, we get complications as patients. About 10 to 20% of patients get a complication. It's not the fault of them or the surgeon generally, it's a fault of the disease process. And what we want to reduce those complication rates from 20% to 10%. And we initiated in this project about 40 publications with new wound bundles. We identified the effect of infection on cancer, a whole range of management options in gallbladder disease, new reporting systems. And I know Professor Vora might want to comment on the NELA data in the UK, which is the National Emergency Laparotomy Outcome.
So what this project has essentially been doing, this NELA project in the UK, is every hospital has a financial incentive to input their data into this audit, and it essentially measures people that are undergoing emergency surgery, so big operations on their tummy, with an attempt to try to understand what it is that improves survival, improves outcomes, gets patients home, gets them rehabilitated better. But the important thing has been that financial incentive to the individual hospitals, because actually what that means is that all hospitals are inputting their data. It creates better understanding, and it's created a better system of understanding about what the important things in terms of treating these patients are. In a very similar way, what Michael and the group here have done by putting together this project is they've provided the platform, the database to allow this to be done within and across Ireland and further afield.
Okay, so pardon my ignorance on this, Michael. In terms of the findings of this report, is this going to be implemented, or are we at the stage saying, look, this is the work we have done, this is what can happen if implemented? So, that's the question, actually, effectively. There's nothing I need to add to that.
Yes, it is really, really important that the health department and the government take this on board, the policymakers. So what we've done is we've made a number of recommendations in our executive summary, both at the start and on page 220, where we look at particularly laparotomy. And what we've done is we've made about 10 recommendations. If those recommendations were put in place, it would significantly improve the delivery of emergency general surgery care to the patients of Ireland, on the island, and across Europe. And, Professor Vora, you've got some experience in the UK of improving outcomes.
Yeah, and the first thing, the most important thing is having data, is having knowledge.
Yeah.
Without that, we don't understand where the process is falling down. And that's the most important thing, is to have a simple, a very granular set of data to allow us to understand what's going on where. And I go back to the thing that we said at the start, Greg, where actually if you're going into hospital, you want to know that you are getting the best treatment in that hospital comparative to other hospitals, both locally and further afield.
Now, we've been focusing obviously on tummy area. Is this something that could also be applied in the area, I don't know, of stroke or other medical emergencies?
Absolutely. And what we need to do here is we need to recognize that this is a magic template. It has the key cogs that build into a system. So already in other areas, there are key performance indicators. And so, for example, stroke has very regimented outcome indicators. Breast cancer surgery, which I deal with, has also very similar performance indicators. So emergency general surgery is a long way behind some other conditions.
Understood.
And yes, in elective surgery, there are significant performance indicators.
Yeah, so I mean, across all cancer types, there are these performance indicators. Emergency surgery is not sexy, and that's one of the problems. It has been left behind. Whereas cancer, we all know about cancer. We're all worried. We all know somebody who's had a cancer, most of us. So it's very much at the forefront. Emergency surgery tends not to have got the same sort of publicity over the years. But as Michael described earlier, 1 in 10 people pass away if they come into hospital requiring emergency surgery. That's phenomenally high.
Yeah.
And as the NELA report in England has demonstrated, it is possible to improve outcomes.
I think it's really significant, though, that this conversation is being had sort of by those at the coalface, so to speak, and calling for support and implementation. Often it might be from a TD in the Dáil or an MP in Westminster or a campaign group or whatever. I mean, I think... Do you think people are going to listen to this argument, Michael, because it's compelling?
It is very compelling, Greg, and I think the time has come for change. The time has come for us to realize that as humans, we deserve the best that we can give. We can't always give the best with all the resources, but what we can do is we can make an effort. And, the recommendations of this report suggest that there should be a national policy in emergency general surgery care, which we don't currently have an active one. There should be a minimum data set with data collection that Professor Vora is talking about. We need reporting. We need to define minimum outcomes. Look at practice where things are being done well, copy and replicate those in other areas. And we need to work with legislation, industry, and patient groups to bring it together so that really we can improve, so that if you or one of your relatives or I go into hospital, we're going to have a better outcome.
Okay, if anyone wants to access the report, you can download it by going to dcra.ie. There's also an event later today, is that correct, Michael?
Yes, we're currently in Derry at the launch of the final report of this Centre for Personalised Medicine, which brought 8.4 million to the Northwest in European Union funding 3 years ago with Maurice O'Kane and Tony Bjorson and myself. And today we have experts from around the globe coming here just to add weight to the findings of the different clusters. And that's why Professor Vora is here from Nottingham. So it's a very special day. And we would like to continue this work. We would ask, it's not all about money, but we would ask the government, the legislation and the colleges to make a special investment in emergency general surgery to give fair equity to those who come in with abdominal pain, and this is an opportunity. It's a unique report and a unique piece of work. Yeah, it certainly is, and congratulations to you and everyone involved in this, because there's a lot of collaboration in it and some great minds, and it was good to see it being funded as well. And let's just hope it doesn't gather dust. It won't, certainly as a result of your efforts, but that people listen, because there's the people that know are talking about this, and they need to be listened to. Professor Ravi Vora, it's been lovely having you on the programme and having you in the northwest of Ireland. Thank you very much for joining us. You couldn't have picked a better day for me to come over. It's Professor, it is like this all of the time. Do not believe what you read. Fake news. This is it. You come anytime. This is precisely what it will be like. Well, I'll definitely be back then if the weather's like this. Michael, don't let on. I'm not telling a full truth there. Mr. Michael Sugar, as always, and thanks very much to both of you, by the way, for explaining it in a way which we can understand, because it's a very detailed and complicated document to the layperson. So thank you both very much indeed. It's been lovely having you on. Thank you very much, Greg. Okay, take care and good luck with the launch today.
Darren Brown, the multi-award-winning master of mind control and psychological illusion, is coming to Derry with his brand new live show, Showman, guaranteed to blow your mind. From the 26th of April for 1 week only. Don't miss Darren Brown, live at the Millennium Forum. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Central Auto Parts are now stocking Sunny, a water-based paint offering all up-to-date colours for all vehicles, and Celimix Commercial, the perfect paint for diggers, plant and machinery. Buy it today at Central Auto Parts, Portslink Business Park, Letterkenny. Find us on Facebook or call us on 074 9127 491.
Don't forget to make inquiries about the fantastic offers we currently have across the range of Nissan and Kia, with PCP options available on all new vehicles. We have your new car sitting ready to go. To find out more, call iMotors Letterkenny and Malin today on 074 9134 or visit imotors.ie.
Yeah, I think if you try to design a garden too much, it's artificial looking then, and you're better to say go along with the garden. We see these gardening programs, don't put this colour beside that colour, and don't. I think that's a lot of nonsense too. Like, a plant looks nice no matter what colour it is.
That's Down the Garden Path, a new series Wednesday nights on Highland Radio, after the news at 8 p.m.
At SuperValue, we partner with the best Irish local food and drink producers. Our Food Academy programme has over 300 quality Irish producers, like Willie Cremin from Filligan's in Donegal. Great tasting product produced locally for you. Call in store today and discover for yourself. SuperValue, real food, real people.
Business Matters in association with the Letterkenny IT Faculty of Business. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance, Compliance and Data Protection. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed@lyit.ie today.
Okay, some new content dropping today, as it does almost every day at this stage now, on our on-demand section of highlandradio.com. It's the latest Business Matters podcast from Highland Radio. Here's its presenter, Kieran O'Donnell. Kieran, welcome back to the programme. How are you keeping?
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
You've recovered from London, have you?
Just about, just about.
It was significant.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, it was, but it was significant, wasn't it? It was really interesting to get an insight into the connections that are there between Ireland and London, particularly because that was where we were.
Yep.
The history of the Irish in London, what's being done to support them as they age and decide to live out their years in London, but also talking about, the future mutually beneficial relationships. And I think really in terms of news, that feeds into that business breakfast which took place in London.
Yeah, as you say, I think the fact that there were so many, I think there was 40 businesses coming together from that breakfast, Greg, from different sectors over there. And you mentioned Islington, almost 250,000 people there in Islington, and a vast majority of those are Irish. And as you say, the breakfast, business breakfast in London, hosted by Donegal County Council, with IDA, Islington Council, Letterkenny Institute of Technology and Donegal ETB, that showcased the best the business community has to offer here. So it'll be interesting to see now. It's a very proactive step.
Yeah.
It's great to see, coordinated by Anne-Marie Conlon, the Head of Economic Development with Donegal County Council.
And again, well, I said this on Saturday, but for those that didn't listen, it's a conversation about, it's not necessarily what you can do for us, because we're not out with the begging bowl here.
Yeah.
It's what the Northwest, what Donegal can do for you. And we're in a unique position, as was mentioned as well, in that, we are on the doorstep of the UK, in inverted commas, and vice versa, the UK on the doorstep of Europe. And it offers unique opportunities. And that was all explored. As I say, it's hard to sort of quantify what comes out of those kind of breakfast lunches because it can take quite some time. But I would be pretty optimistic.
Yeah, I suppose as post-Brexit, as post-pandemic, and I do think a lot of businesses have taken the time over the last couple of years to maybe push the restart button on how they do things, and I think this initiative was really good, and I will be interested to see what follows on from it, Greg.
Yeah, in other news, we are exporting more drink, or at a higher value at least.
The total value of Irish drinks exports increased by 19% in 2021 to 1.26 billion. That's according to the latest Board BA data. While heavily impacted by COVID-19 and particularly the global closure of the on-trade, pubs, restaurants and hotel bars, exports remained resilient and producers are now focused on recovery and further growth. Irish whisky exports grew by 25% in 2021 and were valued at 855 million, while beer exports were down by 3% last year due to the closure of the on-trade channel. That said, they were still valued at 246 million euro, which is a lot of money.
And it's quite interesting that it was announced yesterday that UK sanctions on American exports and American exports on UK sanctions have been cancelled, which resulted in a 50% drop in booze exports, whiskey exports to the United States. I just wonder will that impact next year? Maybe we were picking up some of that market. Okay, interesting. We'll see if that's sustainable or if it was a positive blip. Right, Shandon Hotel, tell us about it.
Yeah, bookings at the Shandon Hotel and Spa in Dunfanny for 2022 are set to pass all previous records as the country benefits from a new staycation culture. That's the prediction of its general manager and newly appointed director, Caroline Harrison. She made her comments as the hotel celebrated 6 years since its reopening, which also coincided with the official opening of a new 110-seater beach bar at the hotel as part of a €1 million expansion.
All right, the latest co-working space has opened and it's in Termon.
Yeah, the official opening of GTEC at the Creevin Community and Enterprise Centre in Termon takes place on Monday next March the 29th at 1 p.m. Speakers at the ceremony will include Tracy Keogh of Grower Moat, Uthers Nagildas, Michael Heaney and Patrick Fingleton from DLDC. Now, despite everything that's going on, and of course inflation reaching record heights, though it should drop back a little bit as the year wears on, the economy is continuing to grow and there's still optimism out there in the business community. And I think that's reflected in the latest bit of news. Yeah, very much, Greg. New data suggests Irish employers intend to embark on their biggest hiring spree in more than 15 years in the second quarter of 2022. The latest employment outlook survey from Manpower Group is based on responses from more than 400 employers across Ireland. It asks whether employers intend to hire additional workers or reduce the size of their workforce in the coming quarter. It found employers plan to expand headcount significantly, driving the national hiring outlook up to 32% in the second quarter, which will be an increase of 29 percentage points year on year.
All right, okay. Interesting stuff. Now, Business Matters, in terms of its guests, has gone international.
Yes.
For the first time, and we're not talking Terry or Straban. It's gone truly international. And I mean that as a joke before anyone wants to go at me, okay? Geographically, it's gone international, right? And we're going to hear about it after this break.
I suppose it's...
Okay, that was an accidental preview for all my smart chat. We'll take the break and then we'll be right back.
Business Matters in association with the Letterkenny IT Faculty of Business. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance, Compliance and Data Protection. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed@lyit.ie today.
When you get the M&S app, you get the good stuff. Good stuff that comes from Sparks, the M&S reward scheme. Like personalised offers tailored just for you. Easy breezy shopping and returns too. Good stuff like the chance to get your shopping for free. A donation to your chosen Sparks charity every time you shop. And good stuff like little treats because, well, who doesn't like a little treat every now and then? Download the M&S app today and get the good stuff. Terms and conditions apply. See marksandSpencer.ie for details.
Attention all tractor and forklift owners. Donegal Tyres in Donegal Town is a leading supplier of agricultural and solid forklift tyres in the northwest with a huge range available at competitive prices. Donegal Tyres can help you choose the correct tyre for your application and we will come to you, so no downtime. Check out DonegalTyres.com or call 07497 21482. That's Donegal Tyres, Donegal Town, where you'll get a great deal.
Why wait any longer for a change of scene? Why wait one more week for a world-class cocktail in a rooftop hot tub? Why wait another day for Art Deco elegance and live jazz? For a spa resort with a therapy menu as long as your arm? For dinner at a Michelin Guide recommended restaurant? Why put your next short break on the long finger when it's just a small step to a giant adventure in Northern Ireland? And you can book it now at discovernorthernireland.com. Travel advice and guidelines apply. Visit nidirect.gov.uk and check ahead with providers.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. There's lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing entertaining kids movies, rom-coms, actions, adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 074 91 21976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
Milford Tiles, Wood Flooring and Bathware, Milford Retail Park, now open. Large range of wall and floor tiles on display and in stock. Over 70 different laminate floors to suit every pocket. Tilers and wood fitters available. New Bathware showroom now open. Milford Tiles, Wood Flooring and Bathware, 083 091 0707.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to Barcelona 3 times weekly this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best family campsites. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
All right, so it is short and sweet, mostly dry with spells of hazy sunshine. There is the chance, though, of an odd, well-scattered shower later today. I don't think you will need an umbrella, though. Temperatures 15 to 17 degrees. We're still in the company of Kieran O'Donnell. We're on the business end of Business Matters now because we are talking about your guest and an interesting character. The character, it sounds almost as if I'm being depreciative, but I'm not at all. Peadar is a very interesting man, and you just never know where you'll bump into someone from Donegal and what they'll be doing, Kieran.
Exactly, Greg. On this week's Business Matters, as you say, the first edition to record outside of Ireland, I'm joined by Peadar McFadden from Gweedore, who is the manager of the 400-bedroom 4-star DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel at Angel King's Cross in London. The youngest of a family of 7, Peadar moved to London in 2000 and has been working with the Hilton Group for the last 12 years. During our conversation, I asked Peadar what was the best lesson he'd learned in his many years in the hospitality sector.
I suppose it's not to act irrationally, to take your time and to ask for advice. Speak to people before, don't be forced into making what could potentially be an irrational decision or a poor choice. And that's happened to me over time, trying to please people. When you're in the game, you become not a yes man, but no is a very negative word to use in hospitality. We're here to please, but you have layers of management and experience around you, and good friends, good solid friends. Lift the phone, ask the question, what would you do? What you think? This is what I'm thinking of. This is how I'm thinking of approaching this matter. And let your thoughts come through a little bit more before you make a decision. Yeah, good advice. We were very well looked after there. Funny though, I probably shouldn't admit it. I thought there was only, I thought DoubleTree by the Hilton, right? I didn't realise it was the Hilton Hotel Group, so I thought it was beside Hilton. So I thought there's only one of these, right? Yeah. So I ended up at a DoubleTree by Hilton.
And another somewhere else.
Yeah, there's about 12 of them around London or whatever.
And another branch or
another branch, good one, of a DoubleTree. All right, okay, interesting stuff. So you get to hear the full interview of another Donegal man doing very well outside the country, Peadar McFadden. He's the guest on the podcast, which is available right now on our website, highlandradio.com. You can listen on Spotify and iTunes as well, and it's broadcast on Sunday, Kieran.
Yeah, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday evening, Greg.
And if anyone wants to get in contact with you, how do they do so?
Yeah, drop me an email, please. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Has microphone is prepared to travel.
Correct.
Okay, good stuff. Even if it's London. He wants to go to Dubai next, by the way, I think, or somewhere else. What do you think, Kieran?
I'll sit on me, wherever you're going.
All right, take care of yourself. Thank you very much indeed.
I'll be the +1.
No bother. You'd need a +5, wouldn't you? Okay, listen, thanks for that, Kieran. Right, moving on now. Eileen Doherty is a member of the Micah Redress team, and there is an important online seminar taking place this afternoon. So if you are affected by Micah or have an interest in this, listen up. Eileen joins us now. Hi, Eileen. Good morning to you.
To you too.
Right, tell us about this. Tell us about this event this afternoon.
Okay. Well, this afternoon at 3:30, the Left Group at the European Union are kindly hosting an international seminar on what we call deleterious minerals, which is to do with defective blocks. And effectively, to make it simple, mica is a deleterious mineral, as is pyrite, as is pyrrhotite. And there's been a lot of conversation over the last number of years as to whether or not the remedial works that are in the current protocol are sufficient, given that there's new minerals being found in the homes in our homes as we're doing the testing. So what it is that we have reached out to international experts all over the world, in Canada, in Connecticut, and Massachusetts, and in Switzerland, And we are bringing them all together through the EU, and we're having a seminar today to try and understand to gain their understanding basically of how these minerals all interact, and basically whether or not the remedial works that are in the IS 465, which is a protocol, whether or not that is actually fit for purpose.
So are we talking in real layman's terms, say for instance whether in any circumstances simply doing the exterior leaf is a satisfactory response to this situation?
Exactly, Greg. So that's one of the key things we're hoping to get to. Now, whether we get to that point today or not, is we're not sure, but we're trying to work out whether or not, for example, removing the external leaf of a home is sufficient, or whether or not having multiple of these minerals in your home is basically requires all of these homes to be demolished.
Foundations and all, presumably.
That's exactly what it is.
Foundations and all, presumably. That's
foundations and all, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things, obviously, that we're going to have. That's going to be starting to be testing. But we're reaching out. These people have been researching these minerals for years. When we started this process, when the government developed the IS 465 protocol, there was kind of a belief and assumption that we only had mica and that people in Mayo only had pyrite. But as we've got our homes tested, like my home has mica, pyrite, and pyrrhotite. Now, pyrrhotite is what they found in the US. So the Canadians and the people in Connecticut and in Massachusetts, they have an issue with pyrrhotite in their basements. So they have been researching this mineral for years with millions of dollars of government funding. So they really understand how this impacts concrete. So we're trying to learn from them. So today we're having all of these international experts, as well as an expert from Switzerland, come and present us some of the impacts of these minerals on concrete.
Yeah, and obviously some of this conversation too is going to focus on how do we prevent this happening into the future? How do we make sure we're not rebuilding homes with defective materials again? We don't want other families to have to go down this route. Now, maybe everything won't be gotten into today, but this is the international conversation that's beginning to happen now.
Exactly. And, ultimately, we as you say, this can never happen again. And what we would like to see happening as a consequence of this international delegation is that we influence standards in Ireland, that policies that are developed in the future in Ireland are influenced by these experts. There's nobody in Ireland that's doing this research. I mean, we're 8 years in since we started campaigning. There hasn't been sufficient research done in Ireland on these minerals. It's very disappointing that the Irish government has not done that. So we as a group have reached out to these international experts ourselves through our own networks, and we're now trying to answer that question for the Irish government. But
the reality is though the further they dig, the bigger the problem they become.
Well, that's
I mean, we'd hope that's not the motivation, but it's got those bells and whistles on it.
Well, yeah, I think we have given them this information. People are saying to us recently, this was our idea to do this. We've been talking about this for years, and in the working group last year, we submitted to the working group that there is an issue with the current IS 465 because it assumes that it only has mica, for example, in Donegal, or pyrite in Mayo. So we've been talking about this a long time. And when we went to Brussels in December, we proposed this to the MEPs in Brussels that we needed to have this international conversation.
Okay.
It wasn't happening in Ireland, and we needed to have it. So this is thanks to the left group, this is happening today.
Right, the international seminars this afternoon at 3:30 Irish time. Is it open to everyone? And if so, how do people log in?
It is 3:30 this afternoon, and it's open to everyone. And you basically go to the 100% redress page, and you'll find the link on there. And you just click in, and as I say, hopefully that should be very interesting for people to listen into, and I'm hopeful that we can have a recording of it as well for people who can't make it. But yes, very interesting, and the conversation is just starting, so this is the first of a number of these sessions, I would imagine, and hopefully the next one might be face to face. But yes, very interesting development.
Thanks, Eileen, appreciate it very much. Okay, 3:30 this afternoon, go to the 100% redress page and mag page for links. Back tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned. John Breslin's up around the northwest after the news at 12.
Fancy getting out of the house this weekend? Call to the Eglinton Market on Sunday from 12 noon at Eglinton Community Hall. Make sure to pop by and grab some handmade gifts